Well done, everybody. It's Catherine Farinier here from the Chefs Forum. Welcome to our taste today. It's the second one we've done, but this is a little bit different this year. Because normally we'd invite you all along to a nice big posh hotel to watch our stage in action, and we'd invite all the chefs up on the stage to do demos. But you know, this year, unfortunately, with the pandemic, things are a little bit different. But the good news is we've still got a taste today. We've got a fantastic lineup for you today. Hang on, bear with me. Sorry. Yeah, we are going to be doing a little introduction to becoming a chef. You know, to hospitality and catering courses at Coleg Gwent. You know, what you can expect if you were to choose to actually study hospitality and catering, and what things to think about if you're thinking of entering this fantastic industry. So we're going to be hearing from Helen Lawler. She's going to introduce the college to us. We're also going to hear from Neil Rippington, who has worked with us at the Chefs Forum, but he's worked at many colleges around the country, most recently at University College Birmingham. But he's actually written some of the textbooks you'll be studying from. So we'll have a look at those as well. So then we're going to meet Tom Westerland, who was the National Chef of the Year in Wales 2018, and he's now working over the bridge at Crockers Henley, but he's been massive on the competition circuit in Wales, and that's a massive thing for Coleg Gwent. They really encourage the students to enter national competitions. Yesterday, Gavin George was, you know, filming some students doing their entries for, you know, another culinary national competition in Wales. So, you know, that's really great. You know, we're kind of got those opportunities, and we're going to hear all about Welsh cheese and see a demo from Cindy Challoner. We've got the South Caernarfon Creamery cheese tasting, and that's with the Welsh Fine Food Cluster. And we're going to have a little break at 11 o'clock, and then we've got some fantastic Cwm Farm charcuterie. So we're going to see TV chef Tommy Heaney. He's been on Great British Menu, and he's also got a restaurant in Cardiff called Heaney's. Then we've got Wickedly Welsh chocolate, and you're going to see the biggest chocolate bar you've ever seen in your lives. We're going to hear all about Welsh chocolate, how it's made, and the fantastic team behind there's Mark. We're going to meet him in a while. And then we'll have Q&As for you to be able to ask questions. You know, obviously this will really give you a massive insight into the industry, what to expect, and I'm sure you'll be bursting with questions come the end. So don't be shy. And, you know, if you've got questions, to put them in the chat, you know, while this is going on, please do. But without further ado, we'll have our first film, and it was made in Cardiff Television. You probably would have seen that before. It's like a local TV station, but we did a fantastic event at Restaurant James Summerin, and he's actually was a Michelin starred chef, and Michelin star means it got a really great award. It's a really great accolade, and so it was great for the students from Coleg Gwent to go over and work with him in his restaurant. Unfortunately, that one's not there anymore due to the pandemic. Everything's changed, and we haven't done an event for a year, so this is probably the most recent event to show you. We do absolutely hope to be doing these events again once restrictions are lifted, but we're just going to show you what we did last year.
Now, if you're a young person or know a young person who would love to be a chef, it could be the perfect time to be living in South East Wales, as the Chef Forum works to link aspiring culinary workers to industry professionals.
We're hosting the Chefs Forum event here, hosting with a group of industry people coming to have a little look and be nosy, and a few bits of showcasing, working with some fantastic suppliers. One who's very passionate with me is Sean from Douglas Willis, so we're hosting some of his little bits and bobs and treats to do. We've got a group of guys from Coleg Gwent here who are going to help us in the kitchen producing some canapes. Coleg Gwent are opening up an academy later on this year, which hopefully is going to encourage some people to come into the industry that we might be able to take the pick from. You know, it is about meeting other people, because we all become very insular in what we do, and actually when you can stand in a room and talk to other restaurateurs or chefs or whatever, it can spark a bit of imagination, and that's really important for especially youngsters that want to come into the trade, because there's nothing worse than being painted a really pretty picture and then coming in and realise it's not quite as rosy as it seems to be, but maybe a bit more of an honesty about it.
And by speaking to James's daughter, it doesn't look like the apple has fallen too far from the tree.
You've got to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then I wouldn't bother doing it, because I'm a bit, if I don't like something, I won't do it myself. So I love this, so you've got to love it, otherwise don't. We think alike, so we're a bit like two peas in a pod. We'd never argue.
I used to cook with my grandmother. I just used to love everything about it, and I guess that's the tie that a lot of chefs have. It's a family member, it's a grandparent, it's a mum or a dad that really had a bit of insight and loved to make curry or whatever. And that's what happened to me, and it's just one of those that I took the bull by the horns and got on with it.
Stay tuned, as later on we will speak to one of the Coleg Gwent students themselves to see what he's got out of the Chefs Forum so far.
Right, so James and his daughter, Georgia, James and his daughter, Georgia, have now gone on to open up a restaurant called The Shed. It just wants to play. We'll let it in a minute. And so, you know, they are over in Barry now, so you can still go and try their food. It's great to have a father and daughter team. We love seeing more girls coming into the industry, because it's always been kind of quite historically quite male dominated, but you know, girls have got just as much chance of succeeding in the professional kitchen, in the hospitality industry, as boys. You know, it's a great opportunity for both. And you know, the courses are very well mixed at Coleg Gwent. So you can, you know, it won't be sort of loaded one way or the other. And we're very inclusive. You know, we love to invite everybody to be part of everything we do. And you'll see another film now where you meet some of the students and what they think of these events. So we'll play that one now, please, Alex.
To get into the business of making dishes like this, listen up, because the Chefs Forum took over James Summerlin's restaurant in Penarth. But what is the Chefs Forum, I hear you ask?
We bring top chefs in to work with students from local catering colleges, and today we've got students here from Coleg Gwent. It's really exciting because we're launching an academy at Coleg Gwent this September, the Chefs Forum Academy. It's the 5th in a series at catering colleges on a national level. This means that chefs from Wales will be able to go into the kitchen, teach students in their normal environment, spot the upcoming talent coming through and invite them back to their restaurants for work experience, hopefully leading to jobs.
I cook at home all the time. I cook with family, I cook with friends. College has been a big part of 3 years for me, helping me learn. It's always kind of been in my family. My nan's dad owned a bakery, so she taught me some stuff about cooking, and I thought when I got to a certain age where I could learn, I'd go to college and learn how to cook, and it just gave me the passion to carry on and keep going and learn.
We are really proud about the fact that we're going to join the Chefs Forum Academy and be the first one in Wales to do so. We wanted to bring these skills to Coleg Gwent because we recognise that we deliver qualifications, but on top of that we want to deliver more experiences actually in industry.
We've got Brexit on the approach, so it's really important that we're nurturing our own homegrown talent here in Wales. You know, historically there would have been lots of positions filled maybe by chefs from abroad, maybe from front of house professionals from abroad, but with it potentially looming, who knows where we're going to be. So it's really important that we keep our young people in the industry, we inspire them using professionals from the industry that are actually, you know, at the top of their game, and they think if I can knuckle down and work hard, maybe I can actually reach those heights too.
Brilliant. So you can see the energy that surrounds these events that we do. You can see how much the students enjoy being part of them. It's great to hear from Dan saying that, you know, his grandma taught him how to cook, how food's always been around him. It's what he wants to do. And he's actually left college now and he's working in industry. But, you know, he's a great example of someone that's gone through, done their course, got work experience while they're at college, you know, working with, you know, chefs, taking part in the events that we do, enjoying sessions where we send chefs into the college every week to teach. You know, while it's been the pandemic, it's been virtual like this. And so you'll sort of see what the students have been doing with this session when we see the virtual demos today. But when you go to Coleg Gwent, the restrictions are lifted, these chefs and experts will come into your college. You'll go and visit them. You might go and visit the cheese creamery. You might go and visit the charcuterie place. You might go and visit the chocolate factory. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? And so, you know, it's all about, you know, giving you as much experience while you're studying, so you get a nice idea of what you want to do at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Helen Lawless, who heads up the hospitality and catering department at Coleg Gwent. So Helen, take it away, please.
Right, good morning everyone. As Catherine said, my name is Helen Lawless and I'm the head of hospitality and catering at the Cross Keys campus of Coleg Gwent. So welcome to our event today. It's great to see so many of you here with us today. Firstly, I'd like to briefly talk about the different courses that we offer at Coleg Gwent. Plus, I'd like to give you some information about an exciting new development in the college. But in terms of courses, we offer professional cookery courses from entry level up to level 3. And normally you would start at level 1 and you would progress through to level 2 and 3, and each level be in 1 year. So potentially you could be with us for 3 or 4 years, depending on if you start at entry level or at level 1. As well as working in the college kitchen, because I know that mainly everyone wants to be a chef, you'll also be required to complete restaurant qualifications serving customers in our college restaurant, because we feel that having both qualifications really help you to understand the industry as a whole. So we all the other thing that we do, we also offer university courses. So you could be with us to complete a degree too. So potentially you could be with us for a while, but you know, the experience that you'll get with us will be first class. And as part of that first class experience, you will be offered weekly masterclasses through the Chefs Forum and delivered by some of the chefs that you will meet today. And the masterclasses really do enhance the experience and teaching you receive at the college. But Gavin, our chef lecturer, will give you a bit more information about how this works in a moment. So if you would like to apply for any of our courses, then please do this through the college website. If you would like to apply for this September, then please do this as soon as you can, because applications are coming in quite quickly. If you would like to apply for the following September, so that's September 22, then we would normally start interviewing from November. So please, once again, get your applications in as soon as you can around October, November of this year, ready for the following year. The exciting new development I mentioned earlier is that in September 2022, hospitality and catering will be moving from the Cross Keys campus to the Esk campus into a renovated building which will house 2 kitchens, 2 restaurants and a deli with an outside courtyard. So it's really exciting for us, a really exciting time, and we're really looking forward to the move. So if you are on a course with us this time next year, then there is every chance that you will be working in these new facilities. So that's it from me. If you do have any other questions about courses or anything about the college that you want to ask later on in our question and answer session, then please get them ready and I'll try to answer them. But for now, I'd like to hand you over to Gavin, who will talk about the Chefs Forum masterclasses and our competition work in culinary arts and restaurant service. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our event. This is an amazing opportunity for you. And as Mrs. Lawless just said now, we are going through some exciting times at the moment within the hospitality at Coleg Gwent. We will be moving our hospitality up to Esk, which is really, really exciting, especially for new students coming on board and some of the students that are working with us now. But as was just mentioned, we have links with the Chefs Forum, as also we do competition work with the students across the year, and we have the links with the Skills Wales competitions. And Skills Wales just gives you like an opportunity to showcase your skills during a competition. And just yesterday we had a student who was being filmed in the kitchen for a culinary arts competition, where she had to produce a chicken chasseur, and she also had to do a treacle tart and nougatine, and with a caramel custard. And it was very exciting. It was a bit nerve-wracking for her, bless her, and she did superbly. She did really, really well. I'm hoping that once we submit the videos, because it's a little bit different this year, usually we would have a centre area where we would all go, and there would be judges walking around watching the students cook, and it's all across colleges around Wales. And then once we are judged through, and if we get through, then we go to a national, then where we compete against other colleges across the country. And then if we get through again, then from there, then we go to a World Skills, then where we compete against other countries across the world, and we could be in Russia or China or areas like that, where we would actually the students would go, those that would get through the competition, and they would compete then in these countries for 2 or 3 days, and it would be amazing experience. On Monday we had two lads that were competing in the patisserie competition, and they had to produce some chocolate bars filled with a caramel. So they were shelling chocolate, and then they had to do some chocolate truffles, and then they had to do some marzipan modelling, where they produced, they made marzipan models of bears. They had to be 2 animals, and they had to be identical. And they again, they were very, very, very good. They did amazingly. They managed to do everything they needed to do in the time that they were allowed. And we're just waiting now for the results to come back once I've submitted the videos. But yeah, it's an amazing amazing opportunity to come to the college and to be involved in these types of things, and don't shy away from any competition work. And I'm sure that later on Tom will say later that, you know, what competitions are like a little bit more as well. But it is so exciting, and you've got some amazing chefs here today at this event doing some live demonstrations from you, some of the best talent that we have in Wales, you know, and they're involved with the Chefs Forum, and they come to the college and they come in and they showcase a dish for you, and you would actually learn how to cook that dish, and you'd be able to ask questions about the industry with the chefs that come, with all the other students in the class. It's just an amazing opportunity, and I've been in the industry myself for many, many years, and now I'm giving back to the industry by teaching. So I've worked my way from working in restaurants and hotels, and a few years back I did my teaching qualification, and now I'm actually working for Coleg Gwent, and I'm teaching the next generation of young chefs coming through, leading them into the industry. So it's as Mrs. Lawler said a little bit earlier, book your place. It's very, very important to book your place now as quickly as possible, because we do fill up. Lots of people come through and they book their places early, and then we don't want you to lose out. So try and get on as quickly as possible for this year and also for next year, because obviously with the new US campus coming up, that's going to be state of the art, amazing, so exciting, and I can't wait to start working up in that new kitchen. So I'm actually helping with the design of it as well. So it'll be all about the teaching side and how it's going to flow in the kitchen with the cooking. But anyway, enough from me. Let's get on with all the other demonstrations from all the other chefs and see what they've got to do. And I hope you enjoy the event. I'm going to go off now. I'm going to be disappearing for a little bit because I've actually got to go and teach some of my students. So I will catch up with you guys perhaps later on. But sit back, enjoy, think of all the questions you've got to ask these chefs that are going to be with us today, and just enjoy it and taste all the food that's going to be coming through to you. I know you've got some samples, and I will catch up with you a bit later, and hopefully I'll see you either in September or next year.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gavin.
No.
Right. Helen, I was just wondering if it's possible if we could put the link of of the web page to apply at the college in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe if the teachers could then share that with the students, that would
Yeah,
be brilliant.
absolutely, I'll do that.
And, you know, while we're going, if you've got any questions you want to drop into the chat, you know, put them in there and we'll keep them for the Q&A session at the end. And at the end of this event, we'll also be sending out an evaluation form. And if you fill that in, you can win a lovely prize. And we're not going to tell you what that is until we've actually send out the evaluation form. But I can tell you it definitely will involve chocolate. So, yeah, if you fill in your evaluation forms and send them back to us, then you'll all be entered into a raffle to win a fantastic prize, and it'll be a little mix of everything we've seen today. I'm just going to quickly introduce you to Neil Rippington, who's going to talk a little bit about the books you might use when you come to college.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's event. So yeah, just introduce myself quickly. My name's Neil Rippington. I've recently joined the Chefs Forum as the Director for Education. However, I've known Catherine, Alex, Rebecca and the team at the Chefs Forum for a number of years, and I've hosted many events similar to the one that you're attending today. So I know all about their great work and some of the opportunities that you will receive over the coming years. Anyway, Catherine asked me to just mention a couple of the books that I've written, and you know, I felt a little bit humble. She only asked me this morning, so she put me on the spot. But I don't want to sound like I'm sort of boasting or big-headed or anything, but when I was at school, if I'd have said to my teachers when I was 14 or 15, you know, I'm going to be the Dean of the College of Food at University College Birmingham in the future, I'm going to have worked in London, in France, in the USA, I'll visit China as part of my work, I'll work in Thailand, I'll go to Latvia, Spain, Germany for work, I'll write multiple books, I'll be a director for the Chefs Forum. I think, and I'm not just saying this, and if my wife and children were here, they would probably back me up, especially my wife, by saying they would just fall over laughing. You know, they just wouldn't have believed it's possible. And really what I want, the message behind that is anything's really possible. So some of the books that I've written, this one I'm really flattered. I'll have to try and keep it still because of the camera and the background. But this one is called Practical Cookery. It's actually about 55 years old now. And obviously I'm not 55 years old, so I wasn't part of, I say that tongue in cheek, but I wasn't part of the original one. It's actually the 14th edition of this has just come out. So I'm really proud to be a co-author of this one because I actually used this when I was at college. So this was like a little Bible. And the foreword for this book is written by Heston Blumenthal, who some of you may have seen on TV. He's a very famous chef in this country at the 3 Michelin starred Fat Duck in Bray. I've also written some books in patisserie. So I've co-authored this with 2 of my colleagues a few years ago. This one's all about, you know, desserts and, you know, cakes and all sorts of things. I'm sorry about the background, chocolate and all those real goodies. Then more generically about the industry, this one here called Theory of Hospitality and Catering. So I'm just trying to keep that still so you can see it, hopefully. And there's a new edition of this book coming out in the summer as well. And I've already sort of agreed maybe to get some copies over to your college. I don't know how many people, you know, I know in Wales you're very proud and patriotic about your country, and rightly so. It's a beautiful country. But this was my first ever book, although it's the 2nd edition. This is Professional Cookery at Level 1. And this book has actually been translated around the world. This is the edition that's gone out in Portuguese, so it's out in Brazil and Portugal, and it's been translated into many other languages, including Welsh. So I just thought I'd bring this along. This one's actually in Welsh. I have no idea what it says inside, but I trust that the translators, you know, have translated it very well. So this book is there for any Welsh-speaking students. So yeah, just really, I just wanted to emphasise really some of those opportunities that are there for you: the careers, the travel, the creative nature of the industry, the teamwork that you'll be involved in, some of the friends that you'll make for life, the opportunities, and particularly through the Chefs Forum, the chefs that you'll meet, some of them today, the restaurants, the hotels, the events you can attend, the competitions you can enter, the visits, UK and abroad, all of those things, but really to celebrate Wales as well, the great produce you have, the beautiful countryside, the landscape. And I know that the government are very keen, the Welsh government are very keen to promote your country, to promote tourism to the world. And I think one of the things from the pandemic that we've learned massively, and that is how much we've all missed using the hospitality industry, how much we've missed traveling, visiting friends, visiting family, seeing new places, getting out there, socializing. And we have the opportunity to see the world through food and drink, and what a career that that provides. What an innovative, creative industry, and really exciting career that you can get involved in. And Coleg Gwent is, there's a brilliant team there, very ambitious, lots of great plans for the future. So you're in very safe hands, and I hope you enjoy today's event. And I don't want to speak any more because you'll want to get into the tastings and the demos, but thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope to meet you all in person one day soon. So thanks, Catherine.
Brilliant, Neil, thanks very much. So first up, we've got our first guest chef, and we've got Tom Westerland from Crockers Henley. Now, Tom hello, Tom.
Nice to meet you all. Morning.
Morning. Thank you very much for taking part in this with us, Tom. So we've done a lot of work with Tom over the years. You've done demos, haven't you, at Chefs Forum events? You've attended as a guest as well. You're a frequent flyer in many areas.
I do enjoy being a guest. They're my favourite bit of it all.
Oh, brilliant. So, it's just great, to be able to introduce you to these prospective students of Coleg Gwent as somebody who's really grasped every opportunity going. I mean, how old are you now, Tom, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, do I really have to tell you?
Yeah.
So, well, I tell most people I'm 24, but I'm actually 29.
Brilliant. So where did you actually study to become a chef?
So I studied in Cardiff at the Cardiff and Vale College, back when it was actually Coleg Glanhavrin. So that would have been back in 2007, that would have been.
Okay, but competitions were something that you loved doing, weren't they? And also your executive chef, when you went to Lucknam Park, Hugh Jones, he really pushed you to do lots of competitions, didn't he, really? Can you tell us about some of the competitions you've done, please?
Yeah, so if I start off telling you a little bit about what they're all about. So competitions are amazing things, especially in the industry, to network with other chefs and meet new people and suppliers. They're also amazing for benchmarking yourself and challenging yourself to learn something new. You won't always win a competition. You might not ever really do very well at them, but what they'll always do is you'll be able to see what areas you need to improve on, because you get a lot of feedback from the judges and from other chefs there. So sometimes it's a fantastic opportunity to really push yourself and give yourself a challenge. So I've taken part in quite a few. So my first competition was in 2012, and I did Junior Chef of Wales, in which I competed in the semi-finals. I didn't get through to the finals, unfortunately, but it was a good first sort of entry to see how I did. And then a year later, I took part in Southwest Chef of the Year, and again got through to the semi-finals. Again, didn't get through to the finals, but you don't let it dishearten you. You've just got to keep pushing on. Then in 2015, I took part in National Chef of Wales in the professional category for the first time. Got through to the finals, came third, lost out to my head chef, Ben, who won it that year. So I went back the next year and tried again, in which I came second. And then the third year, went back again and tried, in which I got first place. So I got third, second and first over the 3 years. So it really is a testament to show that if you keep pushing and practicing, you'll do really well out of them. So then from that, I also did the Craft Guild's National Chef of the Year, which is the UK's version of the competition, which pits essentially the best chefs from across the UK against each other. So the first year I did it, I got to the semi-finals. And then the next 2 years, I got to the final 10. Unfortunately, I didn't win, but I thought it was an amazing opportunity and achievement just to get to the final 10 in the UK. And then the final competition, which I did along with Cindy in 2019, I believe, was the Great British Menu, in which we both competed for Wales, which was an amazing opportunity again, and something that I've been watching since I was about 5 or 6. So it was an amazing thing to do.
Brilliant. So you're obviously very, very passionate about cooking. You know, you absolutely love the industry you're in. You're doing your dream job, really. You're now at the top of your game. What's your position now in the kitchen, Tom?
So I'm head chef here at Crockers Henley. So we're quite unique. We have 3 different kitchens, or 3 different restaurants under one roof. So we have 2 chefs' tables that do sort of very intimate private dining experience for 14 to 16 people. And then we have a 120-seater grill restaurant. So I oversee the 3 kitchens here. So there's about 20 of us that work here. So I get to oversee that team and really manage all the kitchens across the board. So I'm kind of hit a point now where I'm managing more than just a smaller team. It's 3 kitchens, which is fantastic.
So are you responsible for buying in all the food, you know, doing all the ordering, you know, working out the menus for the week? Tell us about some of the roles you do as a head chef in a restaurant, please.
So day to day, I'm taking care of orders, ensuring the kitchen's nice and clean and making sure we're meeting all of our legal requirements. Writing menus, also tasting a lot of food. So we have something here called the Taste Council, which is me, the general manager, and one of the directors. So any new dish or new menu that gets put on anywhere at Crockers is all tasted by the 3 of us to ensure that it's up to standard and we can make any recommendations or any sort of critiques that we want to make on the dishes. The favorite part of my day-to-day task is really teaching everybody within the kitchen though. I've got some very experienced chefs, but you know, sort of day to day, we're still all learning in careers. Even now, I've been cooking for 15, 16 years and I'm still learning things every day off other people. So that's my favorite thing, is being able to every day teach somebody something new or develop myself, develop other chefs, push them towards doing competitions. So that's kind of a brief overview of what I do day to day.
Brilliant, no, that's excellent. So in terms of ingredients that you really like using, you know, seasonality is a massive part of being a chef. You know, you're always devising new dishes, new menus, but you move with the seasons. Can we just explain what seasonality is a little bit, please?
Yeah, so seasonality is all about what is growing out there and sort of what's really in season at the moment. So if you think about, you have the seasons there, you have winter, spring, summer and autumn. And just have a little thing about all the vegetables, the fish and the meat that you get in those different ones. So you've got spring. Spring's always nice and green. So you're always going to get things like peas, wild garlic, asparagus. And then summer's more of your tomatoes, strawberries. So I always see summer as like a red month or a red season because it's hot. Then you're going into autumn. Autumn, the trees are all starting to go brown when the leaves fall off. So you've got all of like your more brown vegetables and your golden colors. So you've got your root vegetables, your butternut squash, your pumpkins. And then going into winter, you've got more of like your root vegetables. Just think all the vegetables are hidden away underground, nice and warm. So you've got root vegetables, your beetroots, some of your potatoes, absolutely fantastic. But we design all of our menus about what is in season. So we'll change our menu monthly depending on sort of what's coming in and going out.
Brilliant. So if you were going to give one bit of advice to the students that have joined us today from the schools, you know, that they're from year 8 upwards, so they're like 13 years and older, you know, if you were talking to yourself then when you were 13 and you were thinking, goodness, what do I want to be when I grow up, you know, why should they want to work in the hospitality industry? So
hospitality is a fantastic industry. I mean, I think over the past years, it's had a sort of a hard time, but it's changed. And it's here at Crockers, we do a 45-hour week with 3 days off every week to ensure that people are getting the time off they need. It's exciting, it's vibrant. You're going to meet some fantastic people. There's an amazing career path starting off at the bottom, being able to travel around the world. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to join hospitality. And personally, I love food, so I don't know why I wouldn't want to work with it every day. That's my favorite bit.
So you have been giving virtual lectures to students at lots of our academy colleges over the course of lockdown 1 and lockdown 2. You did a really cool dish, and it was called Kentucky Fried Octopus, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I'd say it's my signature dish, and I've been told by the owners I'm not allowed to take it off the menu at any stage. It was the dish that got me the job here at Crockers, and it's an octopus tentacle that's slow cooked, and then we cook it in a similar batter to if you were to have Kentucky Fried Chicken at KFC, with some chorizo jam and some yogurt and cucumber. So it's really exciting for me, and it's a nice way to get people tasting ingredients they may never have had before in a recognizable way. So yeah, absolutely love that dish.
So what we could do actually is send you guys that video of Tom cooking his Kentucky Fried Octopus and the recipe card, because that's another thing, you know, if you're a student at the college and you do the virtual masterclasses, or, you know, when we're allowed to send Tom in, he'll go in person. But you always get a recipe card, so you can recreate the recipe and put it in your folder, and you always get a film, so that if you didn't catch it, you can just concentrate on watching, because you know you can watch it later. So when we send out your evaluation form, we'll also send you an example of Tom's masterclass, so you can see just how great it is, you know, in terms of presentation, using seasonal ingredients. So what's in season now, Tom?
So kind of it's the end of spring at the moment, and you start to see some of the summer coming through. So we've got some fantastic stuff on at the moment. We've got a halibut dish on at the moment with wild garlic. So every day we're going out into the forests and we're picking wild garlic. You've got Jersey Royals just starting to come through. So we've got some fantastic Jersey Royals on at the moment. We've got some beautiful peas, spring onions, on at the moment. So it's all the real sort of green spring vegetables, and they're just everywhere on the menu. We can't get enough of them on there at the moment.
Brilliant. And just finally, if you were to advise the students to buy a book or get one from the library, to kind of learn more about becoming a chef, or flavors or flavor combinations, what would you advise them if they wanted to sort of read up a little bit more on becoming a chef? What would be a good book for them?
About becoming a chef, I'd actually have a look and have a read of Gordon Ramsay's autobiography, Humble Pie. Gordon Ramsay's a fantastic chef and businessman. I'm a massive fan of him, and his book, Humble Pie, actually talks about his starts in the career, how he fell into it, how he got to where he is today. And as for a book on flavors and coming up with dishes, one of my favorites is the Flavor Thesaurus. It's a fantastic book to read through, to read into how different flavors and foods match together and how you can really come up with some interesting dishes.
Brilliant. I mean, we'll put that in the chat for you. We'll put some links, maybe like the Amazon link, you know, to buy those too. So the two books again, Gordon Ramsay's Humble Pie and the Flavor Thesaurus.
That's correct.
Yes, it's like a dictionary of flavors. I mean, it's gonna be pretty cool.
There's some crazy ones to see in there.
Indeed. No, but you know, it's great because you can think of an ingredient which would be duck, you know, and then you kind of think, well, what would go with that? This is how you make your menus, isn't it? Duck, oh, orange, you know, so you kind of put together those flavors, and then that would form the basis of the dish.
Exactly.
And then
you work around those flavors then. But it really does expand out then. You think duck goes with an acidic flavor. You could do rhubarb. You could do anything really. But
you know, it's just great to kind of, you know, think about sort of menu development. Is it true that when you're a chef, you might leave college, but it takes a good 10 years for your palate to mature, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I personally think that it's constantly changing. So there's things that you may not have liked 5 years ago that when you try it again, you really enjoy. I used to hate anchovies when I was much younger. And now I hide away a tin of Ortiz anchovies in the fridge because I can't get enough of them. And that's my little treat every day.
So you think as you get older, your palate, so if you didn't like mushrooms, or you didn't like, oh, I don't know, what's another common one that people don't like? I don't know, but something that you really can't stand, because maybe it's olives or something like that, you know? Yeah,
definitely. And I think
I love all of the above.
I think it's the more varieties of things you try, because you may really dislike one variety of a food. Like you might dislike the first olive you try, but there's thousands of varieties out there that will taste very different and have different textures, and the same with mushrooms. So one of mine was when I first tried an oyster, I actually tried an off oyster. and it completely put me off for about 5 or 6 years. And then I tried it again, and I cannot get enough of the things. I can eat buckets of them now.
Brilliant. Tom, you've been an absolute star. Thank you so much for the session with us today. We'll very much look forward to welcoming you back into the college again when restrictions are lifted. But, you know, by all means, stay and watch the demos. Nice for you to catch up with Cindy, who you met on a Great British Menu. She's up next. Alongside Joe Bartlett. You said that you use a lot of wild garlic, you go foraging. We're going to meet Joe in a minute, and he's been out this morning foraging, so he's going to show us what he's actually managed to harvest.
Brilliant.
Great, have a great day, Tom. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank
Take
you
care.
Thank you all.
Right, so now we've got South Carnarvon Creamery cheese tasting and a chef demo by Cindy Challoner, which we were just talking about, and then Joe Bartlett from Lake Country House. So Neil, if you'd like to host this one and kind of interject with questions and maybe explain any terms that the students need to know, that would be fantastic.
Okie doke.
I think we've got a video that we're just loading, so okay. Not just looking at you.
Yeah, I was thinking, what are we doing?
South Carnarvon Creameries making award-winning cheese every day until the cows come home. The story of South Carnarvon Creameries began in 1938 when John Owen Roberts had a vision to bring dairy farmers together to market their own milk. Today we have around 130 exceptional Welsh farms supplying our cooperative with their milk. Our cows enjoy some of the most spectacular views Wales has to offer. We are located on the beautiful Llŷn Peninsula in North Wales. Our cows spend most of their time outside grazing on lush pastures, benefiting from a peaceful, natural lifestyle. Their milk is of the highest quality. From the moment the cows are brought in to milk to our products appearing on the shelf, we manage the whole supply chain, giving us total control over quality from farm to customer. We continue to invest and innovate to future-proof our business. South Carnarvon Creameries products are made in a new cheese-making facility and cheese packing hall. We have a clear strategy for growth and aim to do this in the most sustainable way for our farmer members, staff and customers. As a significant local employer, we are extremely proud of our skilled workforce. Supporting our local community and economy is a key objective for our farmer cooperative. To begin the cheese making process, starter cultures are added to our pasteurised milk, along with vegetarian rennet. Our cheese making follows traditional methods using bespoke recipes, which allows us to make specific cheeses to each individual customer's requirements. Producing cheese on open tables allows us to make a wide variety of cheese types. Our cheese is then matured in one of our 3 cold stores and graded throughout its maturing journey. From 3 months for mild, up to 2 years for vintage. Our cheese range includes our Dragon branded cheddars and territorial cheeses. As well as our signature cavern aged cheddar, matured at Gwent slate caverns in Blaenau Ffestiniog. Working with our customers on product innovation and continuous improvement remains a key focus for our business. We are very proud of our Welsh Dragon brand cheese and butter, which offer provenance and excellence. South Carnarvon Creameries making award-winning cheese every day until the cows come home.
Right, that was a brilliant film. You know, we do lots of trips and visits to various sort of producers, local artisan producers, and we've done plenty of events at cheese farms. We've done one down in Cornwall at where they made the Cornish Yarg. We've done one over in Kent as well, where also they kept the cheese in the caves underneath the actual dairy, and the cows were actually looking at us in the field, you know, where they actually make they in the start of the day they were quite far away from us. The cows are very curious, and by the end of the day they came to see what all the people in white jackets were all about, you know, all over the cheese farm. But no, cheese is massive. It's the perfect end to the perfect dinner. You know, it's great to be able to taste local cheese and learn about local cheese and how it's made. Fascinating. So we've now got Tristan. We've got some of this dragon cheese, and where can we get dragon cheese from, Tristan, if we wanted to buy some? I know we've given some samples out to the schools now so the students can taste it, and you're going to do a tasting with them, but where could they get hold of it from?
Hey, they're all available in the Tesco Welsh stores.
Oh, brilliant. So they can have it today, and if they like it, they can get more at Tesco's. That's great.
Yeah. The first cheese we're going to taste is this smoked mature cheddar. So have all the schools got some cheese to taste now? Yeah.
We'd love to see your reactions in the chat, guys. If you want to say what flavors you can actually taste, whether it's too strong, whether it, you know, whether you really love it, what you love about it. We'd love to see some feedback in the chat.
Because this cheese is 6 months old, then it gets mature, smoked for 4 hours. Then if you notice on the side of the packet of the cheese, you can see that brown crust where the smoke has infused the cheese.
Brilliant. Quite a nice job, Tristan, isn't it, tasting cheese?
Yeah, it is. That is not good for the waistline.
Brilliant. So how long have you been at Dragon for? Oh, sorry, how long have you been at the creamery for, sorry?
I've been in total 15 years.
Oh, wow. How many different varieties of cheese do you do?
We've got the mild, the mature, extra mature, vintage. We've got the cavern age, the smoke. We've got one cheese with Hallermon in it, and we've got the leek as well. Leek.
Hallermon, is that the sea salt?
Sea salt, yeah, cheddar, yes.
And that's Welsh sea salt, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. It's from Anglesey.
Brilliant. From Anglesey, that's right. Cool, so what's our next cheese we've got?
The next cheese we've got is the cavern aged cheddar, which was in the video, which is stored underground in Cechwedd Slate Mine.
What makes this cheese unique, would you say?
It's stored in the cavern, and it's got the temperature stored is more consistent, and the pressure underground is different as well, so it gives this own unique taste. It's got a firmer body and a smooth texture as well. And it's very savoury as well, I'd say.
So if we visited your creamery, we'd have to wear some quite interesting clothes, wouldn't we?
Yeah, you would.
So tell us about the get-up you have to wear every time you go into the cheese cavern or the caves.
You'd have to put a mop cap on, let's call it, like a netting over your hair.
A blue one.
Jacket. Yeah, blue one. But we got in the factory here, we've got low and high care areas, so you change your hat to red or blue, so it varies like that.
Oh, brilliant! Do you have to wear a protective coat or wellies or anything?
Yes.
Brilliant. Very, very strict, aren't they? So say that you were unwell, like you were unwell within 24 hours of visiting, you couldn't go in, could you?
No, definitely not.
Right. So what's up next then, Tristan?
It was only those two.
What was it? Sorry, I was getting carried away then, wasn't I?
You were.
I was indeed. No, thank you so much. So have we got anything in the chat? What do we think of those cheeses, everyone? Brilliant. I think the teachers are asking for some feedback now, just while we get those. I think we'll start our first demo up. I think we've got Cindy Challoner. Hi Cindy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So what are we cooking today?
So I'm doing a savoury leek and the smoked cheddar Welsh cake.
Oh, wonderful. So where did this recipe come from?
So I did this recipe when I was on the Great British menu to accompany my lamb cowl. So instead of doing your lump of cheese and your slice of bread, I kind of incorporated it into the Welsh cake, so you could dip that in.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant. So where did you study to become a chef?
So I studied in Coleg, which is in Cardigan in West Wales.
Brilliant.
So like most students, I spent 4 years. I did 3 years training to be a chef, level 2 and 3, and then I did level 3 management in the restaurant side.
Brilliant.
Silver service.
Excellent. So we're in your kitchen today?
No, we're at home. Well, yeah, my kitchen at home, yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So brilliant. So if we can start our demo, that would be absolutely fantastic. And Neil will probably ask you questions, you know,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, you're using one of the two cheeses the students have just tasted, is that right?
I am indeed, yeah. I am using the smoked mature cheddar.
Okay. And that's
which is very nice.
That's the exact same cheese that you used on Great British Menu?
No, it wasn't. Funnily enough, I used Black Bomber, but right. I had a smoke gun which infused the smoke rather than using the cheese itself. So it's a good idea to actually add this.
Oh yeah, so it sort of kills two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I don't have to use my machine gun then. My smoke gun.
So this is a bit like a Welsh rarebit, it sounds from the description, maybe, or maybe not.
Find out.
Okay.
My video skills are going to be something to be desired. I do apologise. It's okay.
Okay.
So I put that there. Lower the machine. Hang on. I thought this was going to be okay. There we go. So can we see there?
Yeah, that looks good.
Brilliant. So first of all, I'm just going to start off by cutting the leek, top and tail. It's going to be quite dirty, so I'm going to wash this off before I start to cook. I'm slicing down the middle, and then slicing down once more. And I'm just going to finely cut them, like so. Be careful of your fingers, always make sure they are tucked back. Many a times I've cut myself without realising.
So have you been doing the cook at home sort of stuff over the lockdown, or?
What you mean as in doing these virtuals, yeah, or in general?
And that sort of stuff. Have you been involved in any of that?
Yeah, I did one a couple of months, I think a few months ago, where I went up and I went to the Vale and I did a red mullet dish. Okay. Which was really nice. I did it with a vanilla and Jerusalem artichoke puree.
Okay.
I'm just going to get you over here.
What have you been doing during the lockdown period?
Oh, sorry. Not a lot, to be honest. I've been furloughed. I imagine like most other chefs.
Yeah.
So there's only so much you can do. Although the other day I did go foraging, so I managed to pick up some wild garlic.
I've got some here actually. They were all talking about that, and I go out every day and go and pick some. There's a little patch down the road, so I think the neighbours are thinking, "What's that guy doing out there picking our plants?"
Especially if you go too often. No, I've got about 500 grams worth, which I've soaked in water. So I'm just going to preserve that later on this evening. Because you can't go wrong with wild garlic, whether it's a pesto, an oil, you can use a mayonnaise, an emulsion. So I've just put some oil in a pan, and I'm going to sweat off the leeks in this pan now when it reaches temperature. It's very different working from home than when you were in your actual kitchen in work.
Yeah. So using any particular type of oil or just
I use rapeseed oil.
Rapeseed oil.
I've used a British cold rapeseed oil, yeah. Let that warm up there. I'm going to add my leeks to the pan.
So you're sort of sweating these off. You're not
sweating the leeks off, yeah, just until cooked.
Not too much heat in there.
No, about 2 or 3 minutes, I would say.
Yeah.
And again, you don't want to drench in oil either because you don't want that excess liquid at the end.
Mm-hmm. So how did the your appearance on Great British Menu affect your sort of life? And I guess there were people stopping you all over the place and asking to talk about it and those sorts of things.
It was. I think the first place it happened was I was going in and taking my motorbike in for a test. And I sat down, took my helmet off. This was the first time I got noticed, actually. And this lady came in and she just shouted, "Oh, you're off the Great British Menu." I thought, okay. In all the places.
Yeah, it happens, yeah.
But no, it was a very good experience. One I would probably do again.
Yeah.
Because it is a massive learning curve, considering it's the first competition I've ever done. And it was one of the biggest ones at the time.
Yeah.
And I think
it must be really sort of pressurized scenario, having to cook to that level in the time frame that you're given, and you know, against such sort of esteemed competition. I know everyone sort of gets on and that everyone's sort of friends and helps each other out, but deep down there must be that sort of, you know, that competitive stomach feeling that you've got to really, you know, produce your best.
I agree. I think I was nervous. I didn't show it. I think I showed it quite well. Yeah, I mean, Wesley showed up, Tom Weston, which you spoke earlier, which was nice because I knew him because he did pop-ups in the classroom where I used to work at the time, where he did pop-ups with Howell Jones.
Oh, yes.
So it was very nice to see a familiar face.
I bet, yeah.
It was very, very nice, I've got to be honest.
They've just finished filming the last series. I spoke to one of the cameramen last night, actually.
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell me any of the results, obviously. I didn't ask, but he said, "I can't tell you any of the results." So
I think last week they just showed the Welsh
yes.
region last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is very good. Nathan, one of the boys on there, I went to college with him. He studied at the same college back home, but he's now in Aberystwyth with his own restaurant, which is fantastic. Yeah. Especially with the experience he's gained over the years.
Yeah. Do you know Hewell Griffith at the beach as well?
No, I don't know him that well.
No.
I vaguely remember a few years ago when I was working in the classroom, I did a programme with Nigel Owens.
Okay, yeah.
And I had to train him with certain dishes, which I think Howell gave him the recipes for. But apart from that, no. I know of him and heard of him, but I've never met him, no.
It's on my sort of bucket list of places to go as soon as I can, really.
Bear me a second. Yeah, no, it is one of those places because his food as well looks phenomenal, as you can see on the telly.
And the location just looks beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, overlooking the sea.
Yeah, what a place to eat. That's the thing, don't you think about the food is obviously a really, really important factor. All of those other factors about the sort of the environment where the food comes from, all of, you know, the importance of all of those things to add to that, you know, feeling, that really exciting, enjoyable feeling about where and what you're eating.
I agree. And I think especially with us being in Wales, a lot of chefs, including myself, you know, we always try and source locally.
Yeah.
And I you know, for example, like with wild garlic, you know, Gwaelod y Garth up in Castell Coch, you know, there's abundance of wild garlic. You know, a few days foraging, you can collect so much in a small period of time.
Yeah. And the important thing as well is, you know, how you can utilize it out of the season as well. So, you know, you were talking about making pestos, but you can make sort of butters and freeze them down and those sorts of things. So you can incorporate ingredients in other ways, sometimes out of the season as well.
Of course you can, yeah. I mean, preserving these certain things, you can keep them all year round if you do it well enough.
Yeah. So that's an important aspect of planning as a chef, isn't it? That you know, when to use the ingredients and how to use the ingredients and how to store them for other times, so that you're utilizing things at the right time when they're at their best, but also perhaps when the price of them is reasonable as well. So you're not buying things out of season at an inflated price.
No, I agree, especially with things like, you know, the wild garlic, like Tom was on about. You know, there's only certain parts of the month where you can have it, so preserving it for future, you know, for autumn, for example, for a dish is fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add some. Sorry.
I've got this pot of wild garlic next to me, and it's actually smelling the room out. It's so powerful. Somebody asked me what it was like. I don't think they'd ever heard of it before, and they said, "How would you describe it?" It's like extra strong garlic in a way, isn't it? It's just got that real pungent sort of aroma. You can smell it in its natural form without actually even having to touch it.
I agree. I mean, I had it soaking in the sink for about 3-4 hours just trying to get all the dirt off.
Yeah.
I think my house just smelt of it, and it was brilliant. I love it, see, personally. I think it's brilliant.
So what are you doing now?
So I've just added some butter to the flour. There's 260 grams of self-raising flour. And I've just put in 110 grams of butter. So I'm going to mix that with my hands, crumble it all together. So like if you're making any kind of Welsh cake or cake, some people would have a KitchenAid to help out. Yeah. My kitchen's too small, so I'm using my hands. So I'm just going to rub this in together with my hands to incorporate it, because I don't want any lumps. And of course, before I've added the flour, I have sieved the flour so there aren't any lumps in there either. So I put it through a sieve to ensure that it is very, very fine. If you can see with my fingers there.
Yep.
Good. Oh, there we go. I'm not too bad with this video then.
Good shot, that one. See exactly what's happening.
I think I need to go back on the Great British menu. At least I had a cameraman behind me all the time.
Yeah, you had a bit of distance then, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what are your plans for getting back to work? Is it May or?
The end of May, as far as I'm aware. That's the time I've been given. We're not opening for outside because there isn't any space to do outside food. Like there's no tables or chairs out there.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Do you think I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was actually Chef Jamie Houghton, who's the sous chef to Benoit Blin at Le Memoir Cap Saison, and the company have actually introduced a sort of get back to work fitness scheme. So they've got this program where they're going to be walking around the Mediterranean. That's what they've got to try and do before they reopen, just to get people prepared to being on their feet again for quite a long time. Because when you're working in a kitchen, obviously there's lots of short walks going from, you know, fridges to stoves to tables to and you're actually covering quite a few miles a day. And if you're not used to it and you've taken months away from working in that sort of environment, it sort of hits your stamina. What do you think of that as an idea? So that all the chefs are having to do this get back to work fitness app.
I think it's great. I mean, during lockdown, I've actually been running quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which was something I didn't do before because I was quite unfit. But you know, I'm doing about 25, 30 kilometers a week running, and then I take the dog out then on long walks. So that's kept me fit throughout lockdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I'm just adding the leeks now.
Okay.
Lovely, lovely leeks. And the grated smoked cheese, which smells lovely, may I add.
Mm.
And now I'm going to add 3 egg yolks, all of which I prepared in advance. So I'm just going to rub all this together.
Yeah. So is this quite a staple dish at the moment? Is it something that features regularly, or?
Say that again, sorry.
Is this a dish that features on your menus regularly?
Yeah, I have this on my menu. A lot of people seem to like it, especially with the taste difference. Because, you know, a lot of people think of Welsh cakes as being sweet and not savoury.
Yes, of course, yeah.
You know, I'm not a fan of raisins or any kind of dried fruit. So I do tend to try and make things that I would enjoy, and I know others would as well.
Yeah, sure.
And it's slightly different, because I think that's the whole point of being a chef, is thinking outside the box. I mean, you know, I think a lot of other chefs will agree with me there. I think if you make the same food every day, it becomes a bit stagnant. You've got to think of new ideas each day.
Yeah. I think what they were saying earlier about, you know, the flavour combinations and the classics don't have to be, you know,
They don't have to be poached with, no.
No, but those sort of foundations can provide the base. If you can get those right, then you can really then start to explore in how to take them further, how to evolve them into new dishes and new products.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, yeah. You know, a lot of people tend to try and play around with them, and then it just doesn't work out the way they want.
No, but yeah, sometimes there's more, there can be more sort of emphasis on the aesthetics, the looks of food, and how pretty it looks on a plate rather than how well it eats.
Yeah,
I
agree.
That's that, especially as they get a little bit more experienced, they look back on their past and say, well, actually, I was probably a little bit too focused on how pretty things were and where the swirls were and the dots and all this sort of stuff, and not actually, you know, how it tasted and how the different textures and flavors were enjoyed as part of the eating experience. Obviously, it's really important for food to look really, you know, really nice as well, isn't it? Because you eat with your eyes first. The first thing you see is the dish, and then the smells, the aromas, etc., that are coming from it before you actually even get there with your knife and fork or pick it up or whatever else, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree. You know, I've been to quite a few nice places around the world, and visually the food was always stunning, but then again, so was the taste.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of chefs do think that, you know, if it visually looks nice, then automatically will be nice, like you said, but sometimes it's not.
No.
Got to be very careful with flavour combinations. Okay, so I've rolled this out into a ball shape now. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
So it's formed a dough, which is what we wanted, which is perfect. I'm just going to grab some more self-raising flour just to dust the bottom. We don't want it sticking.
So this looks like the sort of dish that, you know, could be done at home fairly easily then. It's not
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you're looking at about 10-15 minutes with 5 or 6 different ingredients, which you can buy anywhere.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
You know, it is, I find it a very nice dish, because I do like having cowls, I like having soups, and I do like dipping these in.
Yeah.
Just rolling this out now to my desired shape, which will probably be about 1 centimetre to thickness.
Okay.
As you can see, I don't know if you can see there, but it's not too dry.
No, it's got a nice.
So it's got a nice texture to it, which is what I wanted. Sometimes, I was going to say, because I use 3 small egg yolks, and normally I would use 3 large egg yolks, but that's come out quite well, I would say. So I'm going to go with this shape, not your standard Welsh cake shape.
Yeah, I thought you said something at the beginning about like cheese on toast, which is where I got the Welsh rarebit sort of thing from. I didn't realise it was going to be. So.
It'd be a good idea, especially if you made these, because they are like little cakes. So you could spread rarebit on top of them afterwards if you wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
Which actually would add a lot to it as well, because the flavour, like that cheese, that smoked cheese, is absolutely lovely. And the flavour in itself is very strong, but it's not overpowering.
No, I wish I had a sample, because the students are all tasting it, but I couldn't really comment on it because I haven't got any, and I haven't got a Tesco's near me that sells it. So
I'm just going to turn you around while I keep my griddle. I'm getting a hang of this now, all right.
Have you got a little tripod or something you're using? Or?
I have.
Brilliant. Very still.
It's doing the job, which is all I wanted, which is good.
It's doing the job, yeah, for sure.
So I'm just washing my hands a second. Get all that lovely buttery goodness off.
Yeah.
Problem is, my kitchen is just really small. Trying to juggle everything around.
You're doing a good job. I've done quite a bit of filming in my kitchen at home over the lockdown period, demonstrations for students and things. So I know what it's like. I've had once, and I was doing one for an American audience actually, and the internet crashed, and I was like, oh no, and there were 53 people I think in the audience, and the internet crashed for about a minute.
No.
Yeah, it was, my heart just sank. So
I was going to say I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest. I can imagine the gut sinking feeling.
It was horrible, yeah. But no, you're doing a great job. So it's just a little camera, a phone tripod, is it? A little
yeah.
Oh, good.
I managed to find one in the house, which I didn't know I had, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I would have had to get some sellotape, I think, and just stuck it to my head.
Yeah, that's what got to improvise sometimes with these things.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Using boxes and crates and all sorts of stuff to get things to lift and what have you.
It's coming up to temperature now. Shouldn't take too long. Obviously, I haven't added any oil to this pan. As is, obviously, it's oiled constantly. Because it's one of those cast iron pans.
Cast iron pan. So it's sort of built up its own natural non-stick, hasn't it? As opposed to pans that are lined. They're actually much more sustainable, aren't they? They're better for the,
I've gone into so many kitchens over my time, and people have washed them with scourers, and they just taken the coating off, and it started to rust. You can't use them again. Then you ruined it.
Yeah,
which is a shame, really.
It is, yeah.
Right, let's put it to temperature now.
So the temperature you'd describe as sort of medium to hot, would you?
Yeah,
medium?
you don't want it smoking because you're going to burn the cakes.
No.
So you want it almost so it just browns each side.
Yes.
So it'll take about a minute or two to do that, but as it's doing that, it will actually heat through the middle of the cake, so you don't have to bake it as well.
Okay.
It'll actually all just cook in the same pan.
How would you serve these with anything else, or would you have it with a drink, or would it just a cup of tea or something? Or what
you could have it. You can have it with a cup of tea. You could have it like with a soup, like I said, a cow, anything savoury. You could have it with this. It's a water consistency or a soup consistency.
Okay.
I mean, they aren't dry either, so you could have them on their own.
Right.
It's not like you need the liquid for it to become moist. Leave them in there now. Come along nicely. So yeah, these like I said, they don't take long to make. They don't take long to cook. So it is one of those things you could do in 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're at home one day.
Tell us how you serve these as part of your dish for Great British Menu. What did you serve it with again?
So I served it with a cowl. I deconstructed my cowl. One of those things you don't do. you don't play with a classic. So what I did a lamb consomme, which didn't turn out the way I wanted it. So it was more like a lamb broth. And I had lots of baby vegetables surrounding the dish, and then I had lamb cannon.
Okay.
Instead of, obviously, you know, you slow cook something for so long, a couple of hours on the heat. I did it completely different. So then I had this on the side in a cloche, and then I had the smoking gun through there just to create smoke within it. So when you opened it, you had the smoking effect. So you could dip that in.
Yeah. So you had the sort of depth of flavour in the consomme, and then the cannon was obviously really, I guess that wasn't cooked for very long and quite rare.
Yeah, so I sous vide the lamb. I think I did it for about I'd say an hour, and then I just put it on the pan with some butter, some thyme, some garlic, just to finish it off. Let it rest, cut it, and then put it then in the broth.
Yeah. So it provided that contrast.
Yeah. I had loads of baby vegetables. I had like baby turnips, carrots, leeks.
Yeah.
Quite nice. And I think I did a mint jelly. I think there was a mint jelly within the consomme as well.
Okay, very nice. So it's sort of all the classic sort of ingredients presented in a really different way.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit different.
Yeah.
And I think going on a show like that, you've got to be a bit different.
Absolutely, yeah. I think playing it safe is not going to get you very far, is it?
No.
So.
Your food could be spot on, but I think, yeah, like you said, playing it safe is a little bit, well, I think they wouldn't like that very much.
No.
Okay, so I'm turning these over. I'll show you now in a second. It's got some nice markings on there.
Yeah, little scores from the grill. Yeah, griddle.
As you can see, it wasn't burnt.
No.
So I haven't got the temperature on too high, which is what you want. I'm looking forward to eating these, actually. I haven't had any breakfast.
No, I haven't eaten much either, actually.
When you were talking about your practical cookery earlier,
oh yeah,
it made me realise that I've still got mine upstairs from 15 years ago.
Yeah, mine's slightly further back than that, unfortunately.
I was thinking about it then, because I remember the last time I saw it, I had to sellotape the back end together because it was falling apart.
Yeah, I think we're up to edition 14. I think I started at about 9 or 10.
I forget which one I am.
I think I used 6 or 7, the 6th or 7th edition. So yeah, but yeah, it's one of those classic books. It's quite funny to have used it as a student and then to be part of it later on in life. But,
oh yes, this is a good thing to have. I don't think I'd ever throw it away, to be honest.
No, but some great recommendations for the other books as well, like Humble Pie I've read, and the Flavour Thesaurus. There's some great books about like the art of flavour. Daniel Pass, Mandy Peel. I think Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat is a great book for looking at how those 4 really important aspects of cooking can be balanced out. I don't know if you've ever come across that book before. But
no, I haven't. I've heard of Gordon Ramsay's, but not that one.
Okay.
Brilliant. So these are nearly ready.
Thank you, Doug.
Wouldn't take long.
Yeah. So, will you be visiting the college in the near future?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of work back home in my old college as well.
Yeah.
So I always try whenever they ask to go at Coleg Ceredigion, I always go at because they do like having students who have been there previously.
Yeah, like their alumni.
Yeah, so it's just really good to show where you've gone, where you've worked, you know, to explain these to the students, because it really it's really, you know, it's just, well, I'm quite passionate about it. So I think that shows when I speak to the students as well.
Definitely. And it's, I think it's really important that the students also see people other than their teachers to sort of celebrate that message as well. And
I agree.
What happened to, you know, students of the past, so they can come in and tell, you know, tell their stories, their career paths and what they've done. It's really, really important.
Okay, so here we have them.
Right, so everyone will get a copy of the recipe, won't they? They've
Yes,
been
they
sent
will.
copies. Yep. So thanks, Cindy. They look brilliant. Do you want to maybe break one up for us to have a look in the centre, so that we sort of see the picture and okay, lovely.
You see that there?
Yeah, yeah. So mark out of 10.
10.
Self-awarded 10. Brilliant. There you go. Well, thank you very much, Cindy. That's been brilliant. I'm definitely going to give those a go. And
Very welcome.
I dropped a little hint in there that I didn't have any samples of the cheese. So Jane from Fine Food Clusters just said I'll arrange some samples. So there you go. I've got the most important ingredient now. So I'll definitely give them a go. But no, thank you for spending time with us and for a brilliant demonstration. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Brilliant. So we're due to have a break now. We haven't done Joe's demo yet, so I'm just thinking, would the students prefer to have a break now so they can go and have a little break quickly, and then we come back and do Joe's demo in quarter of an hour? Would that be good? Can we see in the chat? Yes, please. Okay, everyone wants a break now. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick. We say it's meant to be 15 minutes. Can we kind of aim for sort of 10, and then we can catch up some of our time, so we're a little bit over. Yeah. If we can kind of come back for 10 past, would that be okay? 10 past 11. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. We'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, as well. That was a fantastic demo. Really enjoyed it. Great stuff.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to start doing it now, yeah, bollocks.
Anybody there?
I'm back. I'm back.
You're-
How can I help, Mark?
Oh, look at that hairnet. Nothing. No. I'm just back seeing who else is around.
It's very fetching, that blue hairnet.
I make it look good, I think.
I think you've got a new trend there. I think you and Tristan are doing it for the blue hairnet brigade.
Absolutely. When you were talking about the blue hairnets earlier, and I was chuckling away, I got one in my pocket. I can model it. I can try to make it look good, but nobody looks good in one of those blue hairnets. They're the most ridiculous. It's like wearing a pair of pants on your head. It's the most ridiculous looking thing you can wear on your head. You just have to suck it up, though. That's one of the challenges of being in the kitchen in an industrial environment. You just gotta suck it up, baby.
You do indeed. Right, so are we back now, schools? Are we all back? Can you just let us know in the chat that you're back with us, please? Got Francis, we've got Rhiannon, yes, lovely job. St. Martin's are back in the room. Wonderful. I hope you all had a nice little break there. Chef Joe Bartlett, can we unmute you, please, sir? Joe, can you hear us? Can you get off mute, please? Thank you. Right, can we
just unmuted this one.
Can you hear me?
Can we spotlight Joe, please, and Neil?
I'm big now.
No.
Right, so we've got the fabulous Joe Bartlett with us today. Now, we've known Joe for many, many years. Joe came to the first ever Devon Chefs Forum we ever did. Now, he's probably done more Chefs Forum areas than any other chef member in the Chefs Forum. Joe, can we talk about all the areas you've worked? You were at was it Southern Hay you were at to begin with?
Yeah, no, I started off. Yeah, I've always been in Devon and Cornwall. I'm from Devon originally, but I actually started at a place called the Holm Chase Hotel, which is a private house now. And then I went up to Exeter. I wasn't at the Southern Hay. I was at a place called the St Olaf's Court Hotel.
Oh yeah.
And then I did some work in Somerset. Hence, I went to your sort of Somerset events. And then I went up to Oxfordshire, to Le Manoir. Then I went back down to Cornwall again for a bit, down at the Plurian Bay Hotel, and I remember doing a Chef's Forum event there. And now I'm kind of back I'm in Wales for the first time, but yeah, so I've been here, there and everywhere, and I believe I've done an event in Wales as well. So yeah, I think I've done about 6 or 7 counties with you, yeah, over the last sort of 10 years or so.
Because we are national. We run across 10 areas. We run events, you know, all the way up as far as Scotland, all the way down as far as Cornwall, Wales, over to Kent, and every major city in between. So the Chefs Forum Academy at Coleg Gwent is one of 5 that we've got. We've got another one over at Pembrokeshire College, West Wales. Then we've got West London College. We've got the Manchester College, and we've also got Bath College. And Neil has been brought on to grow those academies into lots of other areas, so other students can benefit from the fantastic curriculum enrichment opportunities. So Joe, I mean, we really, really love it when you get on the Instagram live. Oh, you're spinning, Joe.
Sorry, we've got that camera upside down. You can see me now.
Who's your glamorous assistant today?
I've got my girlfriend Yasmin here.
Hi, Jasmine.
She's holding the camera and yeah, doing all the groundwork really, trying to make it glamorous.
Brilliant. So what are we cooking today with more fantastic cheese from
yeah, well, what I've decided to do is obviously using this fantastic kind of Welsh slate age kind of or cave age cheddar. I wanted to come up with a theme. So the theme was cheese and onion. And then I'll put that sort of cheese and onion into a tart if you like. But what I wanted to do, which was a little bit different, was just use some forage stuff. Obviously, I'm into my foraging, and you know, I use local produce. I love local produce, and you know, at the hotel and stuff, we thrive on that. What I like to do as well is bring a taste of the outside. So what you can see in the garden outside or in the woodlands, I like to bring that onto a plate as well. So it's quite interesting when I did this. So I'm going to do like a cheese and onion tart basically with a little forage salad. But when I wrote this recipe for you guys at the Chefs Forum, I was in Windsor staying with my girlfriend, and I sort of did the menu, did the recipe around Windsor. And then I've come to Wales a few days ago, and the stuff that I've sort of envisioned of using is completely different in Wales. So it just goes to show when you forage how much the sort of terrain, the terroir, everything changes dramatically just from county to county, really. So I've been out this morning and done a bit of a forage, just picking kind of what's around within, like, it was literally about half a mile away. And, it's incredible what I've come up with. So the idea
Can we just
is,
explain, Joe, a minute? Can we just explain to some of these school students? I mean, they might not necessarily know what foraging is. So can we talk about wild food and the bounty of free wild food available to them? But be careful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's all there. You've got to be careful with foraging, but my view on it is, foraging is things you pick from the wild. So it's our sort of native kind of plants. Some of them can be invasive or weeds, if you like. Others can be delicious. So, for instance, wild garlic that we've touched base on, we all pretty much know, that's there. When you're a kid and you're walking along in the woods or whatever, you probably stepped on this and got that pungent garlic smell. So if you didn't know at the time it's wild garlic, use your senses. You can smell it. And next time you're there, have a little kind of pick. But this is a really good beginner's kind of thing to forage because it's, there's not much else like it. And the telltale sign is if you rub it, it should smell of garlic, and you're pretty safe. So, for me, it's good to get in touch with foraging from a young age, really. I was probably about, early 20s when I started getting into it. A guy used to come to the back door of the hotel I was working at, a chap called David Beasley. And he used to bring, boxes of forage goods, mainly mushrooms that he'd picked. And I just used to think he was an absolute genius. So I used to pick his brains and he sort of taught me the basics. And then over the last 15 years, I've just sort of added to that. So foraging can be a bit scary because there are things out there that are, poisonous and, can potentially be life-threatening or kill you. But once you know what they are or know what to avoid, then you're safe. But start with the basics. Start with some wild garlic. And once you've identified that and you're safe, move on to the next thing and identify it. Make sure it's safe to eat. And then move on to it. And over the years, you can learn quite a lot and you can pick up quite a lot and, use a lot of online guides as well. There's a fantastic book called The Forager's Calendar by a chap called John Wright. And that's a book I'd recommend. He did some work with Hugh Fanning Whittenstall at the River Cottage. His book's a fantastic insight to the months as we go. And as Tom touched base on seasonality, it's the same with foraging. Each month there'll be something different in season. And that book states it all with good pictures and good identification and a bit of fun along the way. But yeah, foraging is something you've really got into, but even more so over the last couple of years, because it's amazing how much different areas chop and change and you kind of eat in what's there and what's available now. And you can't get any fresher or any better than that, really. But with the wild garlic, and I will get cooking in a minute, sorry, I get excited about this. But from a chef's point of view, it's just another thing to, another trick to have up your sleeve, but it's another angle of food and another thing to learn. But if you can learn a bit about foraging, it really, not just for in the kitchen, but just at home, if you can pick some wild garlic and use it, some wild raspberries, strawberries, Japanese wine berries are coming up now. So there's all these little things, bilberries in Wales, or we call them wimberries. They'll be coming up in about 2 months' time. And there's these little things that you're probably seeing or foraging already without realising it, and that's the beauty of foraging. It can be something simple or it could be something quite technical. But with the wild garlic, at the moment in England, the wild garlic's going to flower, but just here in Wales, because it's a little bit cooler, it's kind of leafing up now. And when the leaf appears, you then get the bud, which is this bit here. Okay, and then this bud will then open up into a flower. So these buds here, you can pick all these and they're delicious. All right, and then once the flower opens up, you can use that as a garnish, it's delicious. But then eventually the flowers, the petals will drop off. And when the petals drop off, you then get, okay, like these little capers. And that's the caperhead. So as the season draws in, you can use different elements of the wild garlic to your advantage. So last year, I fermented these. So I salted them down, popped them in a jar, and basically lacto fermented these. And the fermentation, in a nutshell, basically is the salt's drawing out the moisture in the garlic buds, and that will help to preserve it. But also the salt will pretty much kill or ward off any bad bacteria. but the good bacteria can withstand the salt, okay? So it kind of thrives and it survives, and it will start to basically eat the sugars in the garlic, and then it will convert the sugar into acid. So now all of a sudden you've got these preserved wild garlic capers, and they're salty, but they're also acidic because that good bacteria has done its thing and it started to lacto ferment it. Okay, and that's the art of fermentation. It doesn't always go right. Sometimes you can get the balance of salt wrong, or there's not enough moisture, or something happens and the bad bacteria stays in and it will turn. But these are exactly a year old now, and the smell is incredible, and you can actually hear them fizzing, and that's the good bacteria still going strong. So for today's dish, I wanted to incorporate the wild side of Wales, all right, and then use a bit of the good kind of forage or local produce, sorry. So for this, the first thing I want to do is make like a green sauce or a salsa verde, and I'm using some forage goods, but in the recipe I've given you some alternatives and things you can get in the shops, as well as things you could possibly forage as well. So to start this off, in the recipe, I've got some spinach, okay, wild garlic, some mustard. I've used a good old English Coleman's mustard, but you could use Dijon, but I like this because it's quite, it's got a bit of a kick to it, and it really balances well with the wild garlic, the strength of the wild garlic. I've also got some capers here. These were in a spirit vinegar, so they're acidic as well, and I haven't rinsed these because I'm going to rely on the vinegar on these to give me the acidity in the sauce. And then I've got wild garlic here as well. I've got my foragers basket here. But I went out yesterday, I've got a little spot in Wales, and I picked a load of wild garlic, okay? So what I want to do with this is, for the green sauce, you can basically put it all in a blender, raw, all the ingredients, and blend it up, and that would be a green sauce. What I like to do is I've taken half the ingredients and I've plunged them into boiling salted water, refreshed them in cold water, and squeezed out all the moisture. And that's what I've got here. So I've got a bit of spinach, a bit of wild garlic, and then the other half I've got raw still. And the reason I've done this is sometimes when you blend the raw ingredients together, they're very hot, and garlic can be very almost peppery and raw. So by just cooking half of it, you're just balancing out the flavour, and you're really leveling off that green sauce. So you'll get the garlic notes, the onion flavour, and the sweetness without it being like, knocking your socks off. And I won't get a kiss from Yasmin for a week if I eat the garlic that kind of raw. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this nice and simple. So you can put this in a blender, but because I'm going to be putting this into a tart, I want it fairly kind of rustic and coarse, so it's got a bit of body in the tart. So I'm going to take a bit of the wild garlic here and a bit of the kind of chopped spinach, just pop it on a board. Okay. And I'm just going to chop that up a little bit. All right. And then to this, I'm going to add the capers. They can go in. And also, because I've got them here in front of me, I'm going to add a little spoon of the wild garlic capers as well. And then to this, a little touch of salt. All right. And I'm just going to run my knife across it. Okay, just to really chop all those ingredients in together. So this is the cooked ingredients so far, if you like, except for, missing the mustard. But then also I can add some of the fresh garlic as well now, which will add that freshness. You can't really get any more seasonal than this. It's growing outside now in the wild, and that's telling me that it's good to pick, and that's what I want to be eating. I want to be cooking now. I do go to the shops, by the way, or the local markets, farmers markets, and buy your vegetables and things. But if I can use it foraged, I will. And all of a sudden, you can see how green this is. And I like Tom's explanation of calling spring the kind of green season, because on this board you can just that really kind of makes sense, So I can smell this now, the capers, that burst of kind of almost that vinegary kind of scent that they have, that unique smell. I can get this coming up. And, this would be nice now, as you could, bone out a leg of lamb or something and use this as a stuffing and get it in the leg and tie it up and roast it. You could smear this over lamb chops and grill them, just as this is. But I want to just take this a step further now, and I'm going to add some good old English mustard. And want about a teaspoon. Okay, and then chop that in. I've got some cut lemons to hand here, just in case it needs a bit of acidity. But I think there'll be enough acidity coming from all the ingredients I've already got here. There'll be a bit of acidity in the mustard, some in the capers. But you can just see by chopping it now, I'm keeping that texture to this. But if you want it more saucy, then obviously you can blend it up. I've still got some olive oil or some, rapeseed oil to add to this as well, just to loosen it. But that's what I'm happy with now, is this sort of stage. Okay, it's beautiful, fragrant, delicious, fresh, seasonal. And I'm just going to pop this into a bowl. It's got that garlicky, oniony kind of note to it, which, in my head and through experience, I guess, I just know that will work with the cheese. I can just smell this now and know it's going to work with that cave-aged cheddar, because tasting the cave-aged cheddar, we know it's kind of creamy, it's rich, it dissolves in your mouth, but also it has got, because it's been aged, it's got that kind of like grassy flavour to it. So, that grassiness will match this, but then this is going to cut through that cheese and it's all going to come together. So it's classic flavours, with different kind of notes of flavour in there and flavour profiles. So to this now, okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. So what I've done here, cooking wise, I could use extra virgin olive oil here, but it's probably going to be too strong and it will take over the flavour. So I've just cut this. I've just basically got half rapeseed oil, or you could use a neutral oil, and then I've just done half extra virgin olive oil and kind of made my own kind of blend here. But I'm going to add a touch of this into the mix now, and then give it a little stir up. You see this has just loosened it up ever so slightly now, but what it will do is help balance out all those flavours and bring them together. And you can pop this in a jar now and it will last 3 or 4 days in the fridge. But it's like a classic kind of salsa verde. I'm going to have a quick little taste. Generally, anything you make, always taste it, because just because it looks good and smells good, could taste horrible. All right, so I'll have a little taste now. And when I taste that, it's salty. I've got acidity from the capers. I can taste the garlic. It's delicious, and a little bit of the oil as well. But what it does need is a good bit of cracked black pepper, just to give it a bit more bite. Okay, and that's our kind of basic green sauce or salsa verde. But I've gone the kind of rustic version. You can put things like lemon zest in here, anchovies, that sort of thing. But I've kept it fairly basic and fairly simple. So now we've got that. What I've done, a bit of a Blue Peter moment, is I made some tart cases this morning. So I've given you a recipe for some short cross pastry, and it's made in a very similar way to the Welsh cakes actually, that Cindy made earlier. So I got my flour mix and I rubbed half the amount of butter into the flour until it got to a breadcrumb stage. And then at that stage, then you can add a bit of liquid or cold water and an egg yolk to bind it together. But while I had that breadcrumb stage, I added some onion powder to get that kind of cheese and onion vibe in there. And I also grated a load of this beautiful cheddar in. And I've relied on this to season it. Okay. And then I rolled the pastry out, let it rest in the fridge, got it in a tart case, baked it blind. And that's what we're left with, is a super thin, crispy tart case that's got the flavour of that lovely cheese and an onion hit in there as well. So this is almost, you could just eat this almost like a biscuit now. So what I'm going to do now is just pop some of this salsa verde into the tart case. So this is a lovely kind of spring stroke summer recipe. It's light. You could as well, you could fold this into like a quiche mix, and do like a nice quiche, probably put some asparagus in there or something. But I like to just load it up with this to keep it fresh. And you've got the texture of that kind of crumbly, crisp pastry. And then all I'm going to do now is get some of this cheddar and just be liberal and just shave it over the top. Don't mind if a bit falls on the tray, just leave it. because then I'm just going to pop it in the oven for 4 or 5 minutes while I whip up a quick oil, and that's it. But yeah, be generous. Remember, it's all about getting the balance of flavour and letting that cheese kind of marry up with all the flavours in that green sauce. Okay, brilliant. So that's what we're looking at now. I'm going to go straight in a hot oven, about 180 to 200 degrees, for about 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, and whilst that's cooking, I'm going to make a very quick little kind of green oil, really, or green onion oil. But this time of year, with wild garlic everywhere, you know, make a load of wild garlic oil, and when you've made your oil and it's nice and green, it'll keep in the fridge for 3 or 4 days. But you can also freeze it and just have little portions of your oil in the freezer, and it'll hold its colour, and you're in no rush to use it then. And then use this oil to dress salads like I'm going to do, or you could have used it in the salsa verde. You can make the mayonnaise, as Cindy said. You know, there's lots of different things. I made some garlic bread last night. So for this, I'm going to again keep this simple and realistic. I've got some more of the blanched wild garlic here that I'm just going to use up and get it in here. Waste not, want not. But also what I've got in here, it looks like chives, but this is actually wild onions, and you've probably all seen this. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to pop that in there, just chopped. If I get my little magic jar up, in here, I've got some wild onions, okay, that I just pulled out of the ground. So these were in Wales, actually, in the seaside, again, where Cindy went to college, that sort of area. And you'll see these growing out of the grass or on banks on the edge of kind of meadows and woodlands, and they look like grass to begin with, or chives. But if you follow it all the way down and look for this bulbous kind of root, you'll see it's a wild onion. This is what a wild onion looks like. So this for me is a perfect size now, because I can cut this off and I can char these up and pickle them. You can roast them like onions. You can slice them, you know, use it like a spring onion. They're absolutely delicious. But I'm just going to use the tops now to make the oil. But you see these growing in clusters. It's like wild chives, you know, just use them up. They're there for everyone to use and see. But it's just knowing, I get that. It's, you know, not everyone's going to know what they are, but it's once you know, you can, you know, add it to your kind of bit of knowledge that you've got, and just then keep adding. So I'm just going to chop these just like chives. I don't have to be too fine with these because I'm going to blend them up. But these have got a super, really oniony flavour, like the green tops of a spring onion, but they're a little bit more kind of fibrous. Okay, and then when you're making a green oil generally, I always go roughly double the amount of oil to ingredients. I always find it hard sometimes to write a recipe, because I tend to cook almost from the heart and cook to taste, you know, and that's just the way I've developed as a chef and the way I've been taught. And when I did some time at Le Manoir in Oxford, and it's 2 Michelin star, you know, 5 AA rosettes, which is a high accolade, you know, you're kind of cooking with the elite. Everything is done to recipe there, because it kind of has to be for the standard that they're trying to reach. And I did find it very hard adapting to doing everything by the book. You can't do anything to taste, because everything has to taste the same. Everything has to hit that standard. So I'm going to do my bit now, and I'm going to cook from the heart, if you like. But roughly double the amount of oil to ingredients. And then to help this out, I'm going to add a pinch of salt. But I've got this lovely Anglesey smoked sea salt. I'm going to use a bit of that to add a bit of smokiness to the oil. So a good pinch, but the salt will also help to break down the onion. I'm literally just going to whiz it up. Again, you could put it in a food processor or like a smoothie maker and blend it up. But I'll just use one of these, give it a good whiz. If it's struggling to blend, add a bit more oil, you know. I don't know if that just went in my face, but it's gone all up my kitchen cupboards. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now I'll just get rid of that. So you can see now you've got this kind of oil. Again, waste not, want not. If you wanted to, you could just use this like that. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to refine it ever so slightly. Okay, I'm just going to check the tarts. I want to refine it ever so slightly, and I'm just going to now strain it through a sieve and a bit of muslin cloth, and it will give me a nice refined oil. So we used to make these at Alamanwa. We used to make this kind of in the morning, and then we'd leave this oil hanging all day and let the oil slowly drip out. And you know, sometimes, well, through a coffee filter to get it super fine, it almost kind of clarifies it, which means makes it clear. So I'm just going to pour that in there. So remember, it's just oil, your green onions and wild garlic, okay, and then a little bit of salt to help blend it. And it smells lovely, you know, it's really good. I'm just going to let that kind of drip through. I can smell the tarts baking as well, so it's all coming together nicely. A bit of string. And I could just tie this now. I'm going a bit chefy, but it's all part of it. You could use an elastic band here now. If I tie this, it keeps it all in one place, but it also creates a little bit of tension, kind of gently pressing that oil through the muslin. Okay, and then I could hang this now and just let that oil drip out. Okay, beautiful colour. Okay, so while that's dripping, I'm going to check the tarts. And they're pretty much done. Okay, so what I don't want to do here is I don't want to bake it so the cheese on top caramelizes, all right? Because caramelized cheese has got quite an intense flavour. So I don't want that intense flavour of the cheese to, you know, start taking away from the other ingredients in there. But also the cheese has got that creaminess that I want to maintain. So I want it just melting and kind of oozing over, and I'll put more over the top. So I want to let these tarts cool ever so slightly, because it's better to eat them sort of, you know, after they've been out of the oven for 5 minutes, let them cool down. So when you cut and eat it, you can eat it all together rather than eating the pastry first, picking the cheese off, you know, because it's too hot. So that's the tarts done now. I've got my little oil here. Okay, and then lastly, like I said, I went out foraging this morning, and this is just what I picked this with my girlfriend Yasmin. I must have picked all this in about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because it's all in the hedgerows. It's all coming into bloom now. And the hedgerows are probably the best place to pick your forage kind of leaves and stuff, because they love sunshine, but they love shelter as well. So in the hedgerows, the plants are sheltered from the wind, but the sun can still beat down and make them kind of grow and bring them to life. I'm not going to go through all of these because I reckon I've probably got about 15 different varieties of plants here. But this one, for instance, here is wild pea or vetch. And this one, it's quite sweet in flavour, but it's got that real pea taste to it, and it's delicious. Then these little flowers, we've got some wood violets here, which again are sweet. You've got primrose, again, just a sweetness to them. And then here, I've got wood sorrel. So these are wood sorrel flowers, and these have got if you imagine the skin of like a Granny Smith apple, okay, that's what they taste like, really sharp. But the actual leaf itself is kind of very pretty and a fantastic garnish. And then with the primrose, you get the leaf. If you pick a primrose leaf when it's young, it's got a lemony kind of sharpness to it, and you can actually eat them. They're delicious. And then as they grow on a bit, they're not so good. But lastly, another interesting one that I've picked is hawthorn shoots. So these are just growing off the trees now. And when they're at this kind of closed stage, they're actually quite good and got a good amount of acidity, almost like a lime flavour to them. So you can see all this stuff I've just picked in the wild this morning. It's all there, but obviously you need that little bit of know-how to go for it. Also, I've got these are called lady smock flowers. So it's like wild rocket, and they're literally just outside. I can see them growing now from my window, and these are peppery, almost like wasabi. And then you've got Jack by the hedge, lastly, or hedge garlic. So again, a garlicky flavour. It's nice to eat now, but if you cook it or get it too hot, it goes incredibly bitter. So these are best eaten raw. And then obviously the wild onion. So all this stuff is growing now. I've picked it, and I'm ready to kind of finish the dish. Okay. So I'll just grab a plate. Okay, so what I want to do is I've got the tart ready to go. I just lift that up like so. A little bit of this over, but like I say, not too much because it's not about that really. And then these soft kind of flowers and stuff, I don't really want to dress them as such because you tend to damage them. But what I can do is take some of the bigger leaves out. So I've got some lemon sorrel there, some of the primrose leaves, some of the wild garlic buds. But if I was to open this out as well, you get wonderful little, almost like snowdrops. Look at that. And you can just pull those out and you can just sprinkle them over the top as a garnish. Okay. And then I'm going to take some wild garlic as well, the smaller leaves. And then some Jack by the hedge. And what I would say to everyone now is obviously those of you who are looking to enroll, or, you know, some of you may have made your mind up, some of you may not. When you're chefing, you know, again, Neil touched base on this, it can be whatever you want it to be. And when you start chefing and you go to college and stuff, that's the time to learn your skill, learn your trade. And then in that time, you can chat to the likes of Gavin, who I've worked closely with, and you can get advice on what direction you want to go in. Don't ever go to college and feel pressured that you've got to work at the high end and go to a 2-3 Michelin star place. You do what suits you. Because, you know, there's so much to do when you're chefing. I always had blinkers on when I first started chefing, and I always thought I've got to work in a high-end place, and I'm kind of glad I did it. But, you know, realistically, was that where I wanted to be? Yeah, possibly. But also I like the laid-back style of cooking as well, and I love the foraging side. So you need to find a niche that suits you, whether it's working on private yachts, it could be doing a ski season, it could be working in a cafe, bistro, brunch place, a gastro pub. There's all these avenues you can go down: food styling, food photography, stay on at college and do a food science degree. You know, there's so much you can do. And the catering hospitality is so diverse, and the world really is your kind of oyster, you know. And the main thing is to make sure you enjoy it, okay? And that's really, really important. So lastly, I've got the oil here. So you see how lovely and almost like a viscosity, it's like a thickness to it. And I'm just going to dress the salad with a bit of that. A little bit of this, the old smoky sea salt, a little squeeze of lemon. And I'll just lightly dress those leaves. And then these can just go on the plate now. So you just got pure kind of wild flavour. You know, simply done, but tasty. And then some of this lighter stuff just on and over. And all the flowers and stuff, when you eat it, it's just going to be little explosions of flavour, but they're short-lived. Once you'll get a hit and then it will disappear off, and it's kind of freshness really. And then a little bit more oil around. You know, and that's kind of it. There we have it. Okay, so you've got a fantastic little cheese and onion tart using the cave aged delicious cheddar. All right, and a nice forage salad with the wild oil, if you like. All right, and you can see I just played around with it as I did it. But if you followed the recipe, it would still come out the same. But I've just done the recipe around what I've kind of got. Okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's really inspiring. You're so inspired to the nature of the ingredients that are surrounding you and learning about them. And would you say, you mentioned Le Manoir a couple of times? Obviously, Le Manoir au Quatre Saisons is the manor of 4 seasons, so it really is an establishment that celebrates the seasons. And obviously, Raymond Blanc is a champion of utilising seasonal produce and everything. Did you find that on the menus there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what, you know, I had a passion for food and seasonality, you know, anyway, but the Manoir just took it to another level. And working with Raymond Blanc, who's, you know, the head honcho of seasonality, and Gary Jones as well, you know, they really push you to cook with the seasons, eat with the seasons, but also at times if we didn't have an ingredient turn up like a carrot, some simple thing like a carrot or a celeriac, they would make you run into the garden and speak to the gardeners. This is like half an hour before lunch service, and they would make you go and speak to the gardeners, and you would go and pick something from the garden that you felt suited or replace that item that you couldn't get. So it really made you think on your feet about what's out there, you know, using stuff at its best, and using stuff in the moment as well. And some things have a really short season, like things like asparagus, white asparagus. You know, once they come in, the artichokes, once they came in season and we used them and they were past their best, we would move on to the next thing that came in. So it really taught you to cook to the seasons and sort of own it a little bit and enjoy what you do, you know. And that's yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, that was a great insight into how a chef and nature can really work together. And the plate just looks like an explosion of flavour to me. I wish I could taste it, but unfortunately,
it's my lunch now, or my brunch, or whatever you want to call it.
Zoom in its current state doesn't allow that. Maybe in the future there'll be a way of doing that. But that was a brilliant, really inspiring demonstration, and very educational in terms of, you know, what you've introduced the students to today. So thank you ever so much for that. That was brilliant.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
Right, so a lot of you in the chat have been asking about going foraging with Joe. We can absolutely arrange for maybe an event with Coleg Gwent so that we all go foraging. Who's got their mic on? Am I echoing? No, I think it's Tommy Heaney was setting up his setting up. So what we're going to do now, guys, is because we ran over a little tinsy weeny bit, because we were also interested in the foraging talk, and what we're going to do now is we're going to put the next two chefs side by side doing their demo. We're going to do a little intro. We're looking at the intro film of Coombe Farm charcuterie and tasting. So I think we better do the charcuterie before we do the chocolate, because I don't know whether they might work in reverse order. So we're going to look at quickly a film from Coombe Farm charcuterie, and the lovely Ruth will do a little, Ruth Davies, who's going to do a little tasting with us, and we'll meet Mark from Wicked Welsh Chocolate. It's the most entertaining talk you'll ever see on chocolate, I can assure you of that. So we will meet both of the producers, and then we'll get both the chefs, if that's okay with you, Tommy and Matt, cooking side by side, and then Neil, if you can kind of go between them and ask them kind of what they're doing at each stage in their recipe. We'll have a bit of a chefy mega mix. What do you think about that? You're muted, Neil.
No, I said sounds like a plan, Catherine. I was reading the chat, so I muted myself. There you go.
Yeah. So you could read in quiet. So okay.
I didn't want to disturb you.
Oh, wonderful. Right, so Alex, if we can load up the first film then, and it's Coombe Farm charcuterie, wonderful Welsh charcuterie.
Hello, welcome to Salami HQ. We opened up our new unit last March, so this was about 4,000 square feet, and we've built about half of it. So have a little tour with me before we start. This is my office. As you can see, it's still in the making, and that's where all the sales go on. When the pigs go from our farm, they go every week to the slaughterhouse, and then they will come back in every Tuesday, and they come through this door. They go past. We had a mural done, and we had some papers from Carmarthen Art College that did a story on a mural, and I wanted to build this foyer area with a glass panelling so that you would be able to see us making all the salami and everything hanging and everything like that. So basically the pigs will come in through the roller shutter doors, we will take them in. We have two fridges here. This is our first fridge where we store all our hams and our salamis and everything that comes out of the drying chamber. But when the pigs come in, they go into our raw meat fridge. And from here, we will take them down to the prep room. Now this is where all the magic happens. So basically we've been making some chorizo this morning, And this is where we make all our salami, and we're just finishing off in here now. So they will go through a hole in the wall to myself, and then they will go into the drying chamber room, and then come from the drying chamber room in to the curing fridge. So this is where we ferment everything. We ferment things, products for 48 hours, and we've been making some andouille and some chorizo. And I just wanted to show, I made this one just for you to see. It's made in haggis casings, and we've been fermenting this for 24 hours. We are just going to put it on now for a further 24 hours before we put it into our curing chambers and our fridges. So these are chorizo with brandy, but you can see the vibrant colour on them. That's the change in fermenting, taking them up to a high temperature with humidity and airflow. And yeah, so they come out of here then, and then they will go and mature. Our lardo will mature for a year. And some things, taking the diameter of that andouille will depend on how long we cure everything for. So if you've got a small 21 ml casing, you can cure in 10 days. When you have a big diameter like that, it will take us maybe 6 months to cure. And come and try some andouille.
Brilliant. So that was Ruth. We're going to have a little tasting with Ruth in a minute. I just want to quickly introduce you to the chocolate. We've got Wickedly Welsh chocolate. So wonderful charcuterie and Wickedly Welsh chocolate. It's all about the W's today. So this is... Thank you, Alex. Thanks for that. Right, so 80% of great cooking is fantastic ingredients, and we've got two of them right here. We're just going to hear from the producers a moment. So if we can put the two producers up and spotlight them, we'll talk about being an artisan producer and, you know, also working with chefs and you know, how great that is for them. So Ruth, first of all, if we can talk about charcuterie, how long have we been going for at Coombe Farm?
We started in 2010, but we have been making salami now and cured products for 9 years.
Wow, okay. So, I mean, do you deal with many chefs at the moment? Do you sell to many chefs?
Yes, I do actually. A few in London at the moment, and Thomas Parry from Brad's. I've been dealing and working with him for about 7 years, to be honest. So it's been lovely to work alongside Tom, and he's seen me grow, and I've seen him grow, and it's good to get into a good relationship with some chefs, because they'll tell you what they need, and it's working together. So yes.
Do you do custom jobs for chefs as well? If they say, right,
Yeah.
we'd like to have, you know, a specialist product, could you develop it with me? You know, would you do that?
Yes, I have done that on numerous occasions. So I like to make things like that's out the box. So I love working with alcohol with the product. So it's like a chorizo with a brandy, or it's a venison salami with gin, or whiskey, a rhubarb and ginger just whiskey.
Brilliant.
So I love, and that helps with the curing, and that's because I like to work with some of them liqueurs. We did on about going out, thinking out of the box. It's like our different diameters and the way that we dry things. So I think some of the pupils would have some of the snacking salami, which is the lava bread salami. So I started to go around the world a little bit in 2012, Italy, Denmark, Finland, just to see the produce and what they do with salami. And basically I wanted to make a Welsh produce. So I came back, and this is when I developed a lava bread salami. It was about, you can make products all day, but you've got to think all the time of doing something different, because there's other producers out there, there's other chocolate makers out there. You've got to think, what can you do that would be unique to you? So what you're going to be trying is the lava bread salami, which is a unique product that we developed in 2012. And this salami will take about 10 days to cure and be ready to eat. And then we also make here, I don't know if you can see that, I like to tie my salami. This is a 28 mil. The snacking salami was 21 mil. So this is a fennel that we've made here. And if anybody would like to come to Salami HQ and have a go at making sausage, or have a go at making some bacon, or making salami and having a go tying some of these, you're quite welcome. So I love to do it. It's an Italian style, this is the way that they tie it, but I like to do it with a Welsh twist. And what you'll also be tasting, and one of the chef's demo, is with an andouille. Now this is a relatively small, I don't know if you can see, it's a small andouille, and we actually, this one we make in haggis casings. We do them all sizes and shapes, and we smoke some of them. We cold smoke some of them. We make some coarse. We make some with a nice smooth blend, depending on what the chef would like. But this one is a coarser, more like a sobrasada type. And the one that you're tasting today is a smoother one. But this has got a lovely white mold on the casing, which is perfect for what you know a good salami is needed, really. But this will cure for about 5 months in our drying chambers.
Brilliant. So can we have the first sample then given out to the students, if that's okay? Or we having lava bread first?
Yeah. So Ruth, I was just going to ask you, what gave you the inspiration to develop salamis? Because I was saying that the salamis and the andouille and very Italian emphasis. Obviously, I know they make such products in Germany and Scandinavia as well. But how did you first start getting into?
In 2010, we were just farming, and I had a catering trailer where I used to make bacon and our burgers and things from the farm, and we had a catering trailer where we just cook everything and make everything. And I got involved with the Welsh Government a little forum and a cluster group called Coleg who asked me one day if I needed help with anything, and I just said I am always looking at ways to add value to our products. And that's what I said to him, is there anything else out there that I can add value to our meat, basically? Because yeah, it's okay, we're doing the bacon, we're doing the sausages, we're doing the burgers, but is there anything else out there? And I had the opportunity in 2011 to go to a farm in Denmark that I stayed for a week, and it had 52,000 pigs. And what they did was they made salami snacks, which I'd never heard of it. So I stayed with them and seen the products and the processes made from the, although they were different to me, obviously 52,000 pigs. We have a 40-acre farm and all our cows and our pigs are outdoor. But it showed me that what could be done, adding value, and they made salami snacks for the wine industry in Denmark, and that's what I came back then and tried to find somewhere in 2011 that I could learn to make the products. And I went to the Welsh Food Centre in Ceredigion for 18 months, which is when I developed our lava bread salami along that route.
Oh wow, fascinating story.
Wonderful. So Ruth, obviously we'll hear a bit more from you when the chefs start cooking. Chefs, we can get prepped and ready. We're just going to hear from Mark now about Wickedly Welsh chocolate briefly, and then if we can start up, we'll introduce the chefs then and introduce the recipes. That'd be great. So Mark, welcome to the event today, and thank you very much for your chocolate samples.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I'm delighted to be here. How is everybody this morning?
Oh, we're
well,
grand
afternoon
together.
now.
All good.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah. So Wickedly Welsh Chocolate, we've worked with you before. We went to the Cowpot, didn't we? And we helped you bring in a rather large bar from your car or van.
Sat behind me, actually.
It was
Yeah,
probably,
a 42-kilo bar of chocolate, yeah.
probably on the back of a juggernaut or something, wasn't it? You can't lift it on your own, can you?
I can, but I can lift the phone. That's a lot easier.
Oh, yes, that's the one. So tell us about this custom stuff you do, because this looks like something you've done for a company, for a corporate.
Well, that's when we did it ourselves. We presented at an event where we were looking for support. It was like a Dragon's Den style event. We weren't allowed to use any electronic aids, no screens. So we created our own PowerPoint slide and brought it along with us, which was a bar of chocolate, which allowed us to be able to very clearly illustrate the types of things that we do and that we're good at. But you know, as a business, we've been going not quite as long as Ruth. We've been going for 7 years now. We actually had our 7th birthday on the 12th of this month, so it's an exciting period for us, and it's nice to be able to look back and reflect on where we've come from and where we're going to. You know, so as a business, we've gone through quite a lot of change, and we've done an awful lot of evolution over the last 7 years. And you know, we started as a tourist attraction that made chocolate. And that was really how we started and launched the business. And we very quickly became a chocolate producer that happened to do tourism as well. And we supply probably about 300 independent retailers across Wales, as well as down into London. Like Ruth, we supply Fortnum & Mason in London, who are the greengrocer to the Queen. And we have 11 lines in with those guys. We supply chefs all around the country. We work very closely with the Compass Group and with CH & Co. We actually were invited to the Craft Guild of Chefs a couple of years ago for their annual luncheon to create a chocolate plate, so a chocolate course, and to do a fine dine chocolate course, which we really enjoyed. So that was our it was a real test for us, you know. So we really had to think outside of the box, like Ruth, and that's where we started to come up with our charcuterie range of products. So we've got charcuterie and charcuterie.
Yeah. So I mean, when you did the event with us at Cowpot, you were talking about chefs having like you'd have a cheese board after your.
Absolutely, anybody can have a cheese board. Apologies now. Cheese boards have been around for a very long time, but you know, we believe that there's an opportunity.
Yes, Tristan.
We believe that there's room on the menu for a chocolate board as well. So we created a chocolate alternative to the cheese board, and we've got 13 different varieties, which are very chefy, very cuttable, very presentable. You mix them with a range of different textures and flavors. And yeah, they're really, really good. Very, very, yeah, as I say, very, very chefy, and they look really good on a menu. So it's a completely different way of looking at chocolate. And that's part of what we try to do, is to think outside of the box, be wickedly Welsh. I know my accent would call me a liar, but the rest of the business, all the other guys in the team are all Welsh and Welsh speakers, and we source as local as we can with the ingredients. You know, our coffee is roasted for us here locally in Milford, and it's roasted to it's got a little bit more kick to it, so it works really well with the chocolate. We use Hallinmon sea salt. I saw that was being used earlier. The smoked sea salt is really, really good, and actually Hallinmon are smoking some chocolate for us as well. And you know, we use lots of local alcohols. Ruth was talking about alcohol. We like to work with alcohols as well. So we work with Penderyn and Aberfalls. Actually, they're just about to launch a new single malt whiskey, so we work closely with them to create a companion product to go with that. Yeah, so we're always innovating. You know, we work with Celtic Manor. They source all of their loose chocolates for us, or from us, sorry, for the resort and for the new convention centre, which was built last year, the ICCW. Principality Stadium, if anybody goes there and they're lucky enough to have a catered meal when the Six Nations is on, or when the autumn tournaments are on, they're eating our chocolate there. We supply tens of thousands of little rugby balls to be eaten for all of the catered meals there. So, you know, we're trying to be relevant and as diverse as we possibly can. We're always innovating, always coming up with new ideas, and the charcuterie is just a good example of that for us as well.
Brilliant. You've got a little sign up behind your head there with chocolate pizza. That sounds great. What's that about?
Yeah, well, it's part. So I mentioned that we opened as a tourist attraction. It's still a big part of what we do. It hasn't been since February last year, but you know, we're opening the door to the public again from the end of May, hopefully, for Whitsun. And we have an experience centre here where people can come, and we get about 40,000 visitors here in the summer. And they come through the door and they can make their own. We do a range of bespoke things, hot chocolates, and you can make your own chocolate bars, chocolate pizzas, chocolate lollies, all that kind of stuff here as well. So it's yeah, we want people to get up close and personal, get messy, and go home with a memory and a smile on their face, and maybe a little bit of a sugar rush as well.
Lovely. Well, we've got Matty Waldron cooking with your chocolate today, and we've got Tommy Heaney showcasing Ruth's charcuterie. So should we get the chefs up next to each other, please? Alex?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Oh, are we all right with sound? Cool. Hiya, Tommy.
Very good. How are you doing?
Can we mute one of your cameras, please, Tommy? Hiya, Matt.
How's it going?
All good. They're nice to see you both. Matt, you're an actual ex-student, are you, of Coleg Gwent?
Yeah, Coleg Gwent, yeah.
So how long ago did you go there? How many?
Long time ago.
Oh, brilliant. But no, it's great, actually, because, you know, before the lockdown, we actually sent some of the lecturers from Coleg Gwent over to see you at Poland, didn't we?
We did, yeah. 4 of them, 5 of them.
But yeah, and it was just great for them to see where you are now. It's nice to keep in contact with your lecturers, and you've been helping us in the academies. You both have, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, and it's great to be able to now give back to students at your old college, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, it's nice. It's just like I said, it's nice to see how the college has come along and everything else, and what they're teaching these days.
Brilliant. So, me, yeah, Reverend Heaney's.
Yep.
Cardiff. Can you hear me?
Yes, just about.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Where did you train to be a chef, Tommy?
My story is a bit of an odd one. I went over to the States when I was about 14, 15. Started working summers and things like that in restaurants, washing dishes, pots and pans. And yeah, just kind of grew from there, you know, decided enough of washing dishes. The competitive side of me came out, and I was watching chefs, and I thought that's what I want to be doing. So yeah, every summer. Then decided I was going to come back, and as soon as I hit 16, I just couldn't wait to get in the kitchen.
Brilliant. So you're going to be cooking with the charcuterie today. So if you could start, what dish are you cooking today, please?
So what we're going to do is we're going to do something really, really simple, but also something I think the students would like to make at home, and something you can make at home without any, fancy equipment and things like that. So we're going to make a croqueta, which is like a Spanish fried croquette, really, but it's made with a classic bechamel sauce. So we're going to use the andouille, which is, stunning, absolutely amazing. But like as we've said earlier, but like I've used sobrasada in the past, so it's quite fatty. So when you're making this, we need to make sure that we're substituting some of the fat, so the butter for the bechamel, for some of the fat in the andouille. So it's basically butter, the salami, flour. We've got here some lovely chicken stock, milk, bit of thyme. Then we're going to chop in some parsley. Then we're going to make, I think everybody's used wild garlic at some stage today, so we're going to may as well jump on the bandwagon and use it as well. So we got some wild garlic, and we're going to do a wild garlic pesto, which is just really, really nice. Really simple. You can make batches of it. You keep in your fridge, you keep in your dry store for, for a few weeks. And yeah, that's it. So something you can just basically deep fry, crack it open, dip it into the pesto, and just eat it while you're watching whatever you want to watch on the TV. So do you want me to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, if you could, please, and then we'll just go over to Matty Waldron as well, get him started too.
Okay.
Hiya, Matt. So
Yeah,
what are we cooking today at the Stackpole?
So we're doing a real classic sort of chocolate fondant with Mark's amazing chocolate from Wiggly Welsh. So I've already pre-started because I've got the first orders in 10 minutes. So I've already pre-started this. So we got eggs and sugar, which we just whip up using the KitchenAid. Again, it's another recipe like Tommy's that you can just do at home. You don't need any real fancy equipment. You can get a hand whisk. You can whisk it by hand if you wanted to. And then you just got the chocolate and butter, which we just melt over a pan of boiling water, just so it's all sort of combined and melted. Keep it sort of warm if you can, and just some flour and some little molds, to which we'll line them, and then pour the mix in and bake in the oven. It's a nice, easy, simple sort of dessert. It's classic.
Brilliant. So you've got orders on in 10 minutes, so we're under the cosh a little bit with you there.
Yeah, no, the timing's gone a bit late in me. So lunch for me starts in 20 minutes to takeaways. So
well, we'll give this recipe out to the schools anyway, so they can try it, and we'll get them to send some pictures in of their efforts of the dish, and then
amazing.
You can have a little look. All right.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
Thank you so much, Matt. Sorry we're running over. It's just been so much to cram into this session.
No worries. No worries.
So we'll come back and see you in a sec. We'll just go to Tommy again. So Tommy, what are we up to now?
Okay, so what we've done is we put the milk and the chicken stock just on the heat. We put the butter and the salami in. We're just going to cook out, really infuse that butter. We're going to add a little bit of thyme. Okay, so just pick it down, get all that woody stuff off it. Just fold that in. Then we're going to add our flour. So sorry, what we've done is in this here we got 40 grams of flour, 60 grams of andouille, 40 grams of butter, 60 grams of andouille, 120 grams of flour. When you're making a bechamel, I don't know if you've made this in college or whatever, you really want to cook that flour out, because if you don't cook it out, it just sits on top of your palate. So you'll know whenever you're tasting it if it's been cooked out long enough. But we're in a bit of a rush. We're just going to, and at that stage, we're going to add a little bit of our stock and milk. Turn that down.
That's a very nice kitchen you've got there, by the way, Tommy.
Thank you very much.
It's actually very pretty. I love all the tiles on the floor. And you're cooking on induction there, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't normally cook in here. We normally just look at it. No, we're joking. Yeah, we got all induction. We decided to get rid of the gas. I just find it's a lot, it's a lot cleaner to work with. You can just wipe it down, and apparently it's cheaper. I don't know yet, so we'll see. So we got a little bit of the stock, a little bit of milk. We're just going to add the rest of it now.
So traditionally, chefs would have cooked on gas, and some still do. And there's a big dichotomy between, do we cook on gas? It's old school's gas, new school's induction, but it's much better for the environment. It's much better for chefs' health as well, cooking on.
Well, that's it. But saying that, I do like to use a barbecue, so it's mix things up a bit. So yeah, while that's cooking, we're just going to leave that to cook out. That will literally take 5 minutes or so. A little bit of salt. And then as we're doing that, we're just going to make a pesto. So this pesto, wild garlic. Again, I heard some of the other chefs mention earlier where to pick this from. It is just too good of an ingredient not to use when it's in season. And the reason we're adding parsley is because if you just use garlic, it would be way too overpowering. Almost too spicy. Okay, so parsley, wild garlic, hazelnuts. Just roasted the hazelnuts, take the skin off them. Sea salt, good Welsh stuff, and some nice olive oil. So really simple. And again, this is down to preference, how much you want to blend it. Some people like a pesto really smooth. I don't. I like it with quite a bit of texture in it, which is why I use hazelnuts instead of pine nuts. And again, we don't add any, some pestos you would add parmesan, whatever. We're going to add that after. So
what are you using there? Is that the Thermomix?
Right. It is, yeah, but we use this just because, as I say, we like to leave it a bit of texture in it rather than using the baking mix, which makes it really smooth.
Brilliant. So the Thermomix is a chef's best friend, isn't it, in the kitchen?
It's like a chef. One of these. So you can see that. I'm just going to stand outside now. This is pretty much ready. So you can see how thick that is. What we're going to do is we're going to pop that in there. A little bit of grease proof. And we're going to pop that in the fridge for about an hour. Okay? I don't expect you to wait on me for an hour, so. Okay. After an hour, you'll see it's quite firm. So what we've done is we've rolled that into like 25 gram balls. And we're going to basically panny that. Okay, panny, French for bread. So basically flour, egg, and breadcrumb. So into the flour.
So is this on the menu now?
This will be on something like this. We always have a croquette on the menu in our restaurant next door, Ishka, which is like a wine bar, because we want to do little snacky things, which you can just have with a glass of wine and that. And these are just beautiful because you can use anything in these. You can use like, I don't know, if we're using lamb belly, any of the offcuts, we can just chop them up and throw them in there. Fish. in Spain they use the jamon iberico. So with the ham on, they have the big legs of cured ham, and you basically slice them on the plate. But with all the offcuts you've got, you basically dice them up and stick them through some croquettes, and they're absolutely banging. When you're panning, I always find it easier to keep one hand dry. Okay, so one hand with your flour and your breadcrumbs, and the other hand, your flour and your egg, the other hand with your breadcrumbs. Okay.
So those breadcrumbs, are they the panko breadcrumbs?
Yeah, these are panko breadcrumbs, so like the Japanese style, but sometimes what we'll do is we'll blend these up to make them a little bit finer. But we're just going to keep it nice and rustic today. But again, you can use any leftover bread, just dry them out and just blitz them up. Great way to use up the leftovers.
Brilliant. It's a bit like high pressure today, a bit like when you were on Great British Menu. You have to be time and get things out quickly. So what was it like for you on Great British Menu? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was completely different than anything I've ever done before. And yes, it is hard, I'm not gonna lie. It's they're long days. You're in there from 6 in the morning till 12 at night, and you'll do that for the full 5 days you're there.
Wow.
But it pushes you as a chef. You're up against after I won the Northern Ireland heat, then I was up in the regional finals, and you're up against some of the best chefs in the country, and not only are you up against them, competing against them, but you're learning off them. So you're watching them cook, and I met some really good friends on there. So yeah, I've done it 2 years in a row, and yeah, it's really good to push yourself. So now all we're going to do with these, oil, 180 degrees. It'll take about a minute. Always clean up after yourself.
Yes, it's important to work very neatly, isn't it? Is it keep a nice clean station?
Well, you work clean, you create clean foods.
Exactly.
I think the chocolate fondants might be ready as well.
Okay, let's have a quick look then.
Just
You
before.
can nip over to Matty. How you doing?
That's like I said, lunch starts now in a minute. So basically all we've done is we've started off with the eggs and the sugar. We've whisked it up so it's light and fluffy. Like I said, you can do it by hand or in a machine, either way. You melt the chocolate and the butter over a little bain-marie, a pan of boiling water. Make sure the water doesn't touch the bottom of the pan or anything. And just leave it slowly sort of melt down. Once it's all combined, then just sort of give it a good stir together. Once the eggs and sugar are whipped up really nice and light, we then start folding in the chocolate mix. Fold in lightly because you want to keep that air inside them. And just fold them in really gently. And then the flour then. So we fold the flour in 3 stages. Make sure it's really well incorporated. Again, you want to fold it quite lightly so you don't sort of knock the air out of the mix. And then you end up with a mix that looks like this. Bit of a sort of thick consistency. But yeah, nice and chocolatey. There's no white bits of flour. It's all incorporated nicely. And then come onto the molds. So just straight Daryl molds. A little bit of sort of melted butter just to line the outside, and then we just roll it in sort of cocoa powder just to make sure it's all perfectly lined. And then straight chocolate mix straight in, about 3/4 of the way up, as you can see. And then I've just got some in the oven now, so I'll just take you to.
Can't hear you, chef.
Ones are already gone. Bottom ones I've just put it. Cook them on about 190 degrees.
Yeah.
For if it's made on the day, we cook them for about 9 minutes on the day. But this mix does go in the fridge. You can keep it in there for a night, ready for the next sort of day, and then you just cook them for an extra 2 minutes. and exactly the same result. So they got about another 4 minutes on the clock. So yeah, I don't know if you want to shoot off to Tommy and.
What we're looking for here, Matt, you want them quite soft in the centre so they ooze slightly?
That's it, yeah. So you're looking for like a sort of cake consistency on the outside so it all holds. And then when you tip them up, the inside then should all hold and it should be nice and sort of malty sort of inside. So when you cut in, it just oozes all the chocolate sort of sauce out.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back in 3 minutes and see how they
no worries at all.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay, so we've now taken the croquettes out of the fryer, a little bit of salt. So pop them shit in the bowl. We got some Parmesan here. Oh, hold on. There we go. Shit on the top. That'll give it a really bit of sweetness, also a bit of a nutty flavor. Then we got these beautiful. These aren't actually wild garlic flowers. These are three-cornered leek flowers. It's a bit early still for the wild garlic flowers. Well, here it is anyway. Pop them on just for a little bit of prettiness. That's a word, right?
Yep, prettiness. That'll do. Know what you mean?
And there we go. So with a croquette, when you open it, you've got that lovely oozy, almost cheesy like texture to it, but without that cheesy flavor. So again, just really, really simple. You can make these with absolutely anything. So, you know, if you're leftover roast beef or anything like that, you could do them, chop it up, stick it in there, a bit of horseradish, work really well. With the wild garlic, again, you know, it can keep in your fridge for a long time. And as I say, you know, when it's in season, really try to use the best of it.
So, Tommy, if you can just give one bit of advice to young budding chefs, you know, some of these guys are sort of 13, 14, 15 years old. What would you say to them about the hospitality industry?
I would say, you know, if you're gonna be a chef, try to be the best chef you can be, and the only way to do that is to work as hard as you can. Try to get yourself working with the best chefs in the country. You know, I was one of them ones where I went to the States. I came back. I wanted to be a head chef too early. So my first head chef job was 1920. And it wasn't until I was almost 30 where I decided, you know, I need to take a step back and really start learning the basics before jumping in the deep end. So do that at an early age. Never be afraid to ask any questions. You know, people think that chefs aren't approachable. To this day, I'll pick up the phone to any chef I've ever worked with and ask them a question, or even chefs I haven't worked with. You know, you see something you like on Instagram or something like that, don't be afraid to ask, you know, how did you do that or whatever else, because, you know, it's an amazing industry to be in. And as I say, some of my best friends I've met are in this industry. So, you know, it's like the old saying, you know, if you enjoy your work, you'll never work a day in your life.
Brilliant. That's great advice, and thank you very much. So we'll all have a go at doing those recipes. We'll get some pictures and we'll send them over to you. But thank you so much for joining us today and being part of the event, Tommy.
No worries, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Back to Matt now over at the Stackpole. Are we ready?
Yeah,
Chef?
so I'm about 2 minutes off, minute and a half off, and they'll be ready to go.
We'll have a quick chat with you in the meantime.
Yeah, no worries.
So, I mean, we're just talking to Tommy there about advice to young people thinking of becoming a chef, you know, thinking of coming into the hospitality industry. What would you have to say to them, if, you know, if you're in their position, if you were 13, 14, 15, what would you say?
It's an amazing industry to come into. You meet some amazing people. You see some amazing places if you want to travel and go around the world. You just got to be like a sponge and just take every bit of information you can and absorb everything that you can learn, and don't be afraid to move around, sort of do your stint somewhere like a year and a half, and then move on and learn, and just keep learning. That's the key to this. You never stop learning.
Brilliant. So do you tend to sort of go out and do a bit of foraging as well? Are you into foraging? Because a lot of these guys are quite impressed with Joe Bartlett and his foraging.
Yeah, we have a lot of forage ingredients here. We're like right on the coast path. We're right on the beaches. We've got the woods and everything. So I don't forage myself. We have somebody who does it for us now. We physically can't cope doing it on our own and going out and doing stuff like that, which is too busy for that. But it's nothing nicer than having some local, fresh sort of produce that's literally off the doorstep. You can't fault it. We use a lot of seaweed. Well, we predominantly use a lot of seaweed and sea herbs. So it's all off our coastline, literally within a mile away, 2 miles away.
Brilliant. Excellent. So in terms of, you know, if you were going to hire a chef out of college, what would you be looking for? Because obviously they can't get much work experience apart from what they do with Chefs Forum, and, you know, engaging with employers like you. You've been great giving virtual learning sessions and you know, helping us with curriculum enrichment. You know, what do you look for in a young chef? If you were going to hire a young chef from Coleg Gwent, what would you be looking for?
You look for someone who's got a bit of passion, a bit of spark, somebody who wants to learn. You can teach anything. It's just about finding that person who wants to do it and wants to be there. That's the hardest part. Brilliant.
So, you know, I mean, today, have you had a chance to look at much of the demos today? Obviously, you've got a busy lunch service on in a minute. What are you doing? Have you reopened? Have you got an outdoor area then?
Yeah, so we've got a garden outside which sits around about 60, 70 people. So we're looking forward to Monday. Hopefully the weather stays good as it is. So yeah, we'll be packed. I mean, bookings wise, we're already pretty much full for Monday. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy summer, I think.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So Matt's also the patron of the Pembrokeshire College Academy that we've got as well. So he does a lot across both colleges in Wales, which is really, really good. Ex-student of one and a patron of the other. So yeah, he's a great asset to the Chefs Forum Academy. Neil, did you have a question there?
No, not really. I was just going to see how these chocolate fondants were doing, and I was going to ask because I think that the lockdown regulations are different in Wales. So you're doing takeaways still at the moment, Matt? Is that right? You're doing?
Yeah. So we're only doing takeaways now this weekend, and then as of Monday we open outside, and we still continue to do our takeaways on the weekend only though.
Yeah. Have you been? So these are the cook at home things, or straight takeaways?
Straight takeaways. We've literally ready to go, eat straight away. A lot of people order and then go down the beach.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
So I mean, we're averaging about 150 on a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday, which is good. I mean, Mother and Sunday we did 146 just on the Sunday lunch takeaways. So yeah, I mean, it's good. It's been all right.
Yeah, I suppose for everybody, they've had to change their sort of business operations to keep going, look at new ways of doing things, and you know, just keep things ticking over and keep that engagement with your customers and the public. And
yeah, massively. I mean, it's going to be so strange now, plating up on plates. We haven't done it for near enough since December last year, so yeah, it's going to be a strange one.
So many chefs have said that when they've been doing demonstrations. We were with the Dorchester yesterday, and well, actually Coworth Park, and Adam Smith put a plate together. And he said, "Oh God, I haven't plated food for 5 months. I feel a bit nervous."
Yeah, it's crazy times, isn't it? Really, it's. Yeah. Hopefully, it all comes back to normal now quite quickly, and we can start again.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so this is our chocolate fondant. So we just, like I said, it's really easy, nice and easy. We serve it here on the pub in the winter. It's a nice winter warmer one, and we just do it with a nice bit of vanilla ice cream.
Lovely.
And that's it. And then we get something to cut it open, and fingers crossed, while I haven't been talking, it's going to be all right.
This virtual cooking, so many different chefs cooking all this lovely food, and we're just sitting here looking at it. It really does make you feel hungry. Lovely.
Slightly over these ones, but just while we've been talking. But
yeah, no blame us.
No, it's. Hold on, it might be all right.
So the idea is to have a lovely gooey centre, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got like a nice gooey inside.
Yeah, lovely.
Oh, lovely.
And yeah, and that's it.
Wonderful. So what do you think of your Wickley Welsh chocolate?
That's really nice chocolate. I've known Mark for a while, so he's a nice bloke to work with and use, and we've been looking at using him for the rooms for chocolates and stuff like that. And yeah, no, it's really good chocolate. Really nice. It's quite creamy as a 60% chocolate. It's quite creamy. First time I've ever used this chocolate, but no, it's tasty.
Brilliant. Matt, I'm going to let you go and do your
perfect
service now. Thank you so much
Cheers,
for your
guys.
help. Thanks for jumping on. We'll send the recipe out anyway, so students can have a go at it. So that's great. Thank you so much. Right, let's go back to our producers again now. We've got our charcuterie. So we've got to do a little bit more tasting of charcuterie with Ruth. A minute. Hello, Ruth. That was quite cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was great, actually. And I can't wait to make some of them croquettes, actually, because I'll also be doing some tapas evenings here in Salami. So thank you, Tommy. I will definitely put that on my menu. It's all great to have some different things to make from your product. And I'm only just starting to have some charcuterie tapas evenings here. So that was really good and they look delicious.
No, thank you very much. It's a beautiful product.
Yeah, thank you.
We can maybe even do a guest chef night down at the, down at HQ, possibly, couldn't we? Collaborations, let's go.
You're welcome anytime, anytime.
Oh, brilliant. So, in terms of the product, you love it, Tommy, and obviously there was much excitement going on in the chat about someone even bought while we were doing the presentation. Someone bought some, how do I say it, Najua, is that right?
So they're all looking forward, aren't they, to doing some recipes and
they are. I think you got their fancy, Tommy, with your lovely croquettes. So, but it's great to know that you can make those croquettes with anything that's left over in the kitchen. You mentioned lamb belly. There's all sorts of variations that we could do with the same kind of
yeah, of course, but as I say, some of the other salamis that Ruth is providing as well, we work really well with them. So yeah, it's just a nice, really easy tapas dish to do. As you say, tapas, it's just perfect for it. But that particular Nduja, it was just really, really nice, a nice little kick to it as well. So yeah, I was really impressed with it.
It's really great as a chef to be able to say that on your menu you've got locally sourced and locally produced ingredients. That's a massive thing, isn't it? Customers love it.
Of course it is. I mean, the less it travels, the better it's going to be, and especially if you can support local independence as well. We're in an independent restaurant. We try to, a lot of our suppliers, well, a lot of them, all of our suppliers are independent suppliers. So, it's important we keep the food chain going.
I was just going to say that to have such a beautiful tapas dish, utilizing produce from Spain and Nduja, I can just imagine how that sort of tastes, because Nduja is just sort of such a delicate ingredient, isn't it? It's so soft and subtle, and with those spices and with the wild garlic locally as well. It's fantastic to, I think, produce something that is so sort of recognized internationally, but using local produce. It's quite inspirational.
Well, also cooking doesn't have to be hard, does it? So if we can do something like little simple things like these and, with really good results, it just works.
Yeah. No, I'm going to give them a go. I know I'm going to get my hands on some Nduja and I'm going to give them a go. I've got the wild garlic, so I just need to.
Brilliant. And can we just go back over to Mark a minute, please? I think have we had our Nduja taster yet? Have the students tried it? What do they think of it? We had the lava bread, and then we've got
Sorry,
Nduja.
guys, I'm just going to have to go here. So
no worries, Tommy.
Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Ruth.
Can you go in next?
Ruth, have we got another taster, Ruth?
I think you've had only the Nduja. So I think they had the Nduja and the snacking salami. So I think they need to try the Nduja. I think they tried the snacking, but they're trying the Nduja now.
Brilliant. Yeah, if we can just try that one, and then we'll just talk to Mark briefly about you know, we'll probably learn more about, you know, charcuterie, curing, salami when we do a nice trip to come and see you, you know, because, you know, part of the curriculum enrichment at the college is that we go and look at coffee roasteries, we might go and look at a fish market, we might go and to a butcher's cutting plant to learn a bit of butchery. You know, you obviously work very closely with a butcher. In fact, no, actually, you process your own pigs, don't you?
Yeah, no, we actually put our own pigs in. So we rear saddlebacks and Gloucester roast spots. So obviously the pigs go in ourselves. So when they come back, we actually cut up the pigs ourselves as well.
How many pigs have you got? How many in your herd?
We've got about 36 breeding sows there now at the moment, but they will increase during the summer because we try, obviously, January and February are the worst months because they're all outdoors, and so we sort of raise more from about March on because the weather starts to come, because they don't, although they're outdoors, they don't do so well in the storms and the weather that we have, but they can increase so that we can have a couple of hundred on the farm at any one time.
Wow, cool. I'm just conscious of time. I could talk to you about pigs, butchery, curing all day long. It's a massive passion of mine, but we will definitely continue our discussions, and hopefully we'll see you at the game fair as well, so I'll be hanging out with you. Okay. So Mark, that was nice, wasn't it? The chocolate fondant turned out brilliantly, and Matty said he loves you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and I love him too. He's a great guy. It's as all the chefs have said, you know, there's a lot of opportunity to meet new people, try new things, and be inspired by different people. And so, actually, you know, we're very lucky in Wales. We have an amazing palette of artisanal producers, and through activities like this and various other activities, there's a real opportunity for us to all stay reasonably close, share ideas, and to keep abreast of what everybody else is doing. And Matt's a good guy, you know. He really knows his stuff, and the Stackpole Inn has a great reputation, you know. So yeah, no, he's a good guy. I like working with him.
Brilliant. So what are we tasting with the students today? The best bit now is the perfect end to the perfect end.
Yeah, nice bit of sweetness to go at the end. So essentially, we decided that we needed to embrace a post-Brexit Britain about a year ago and prepare for it. And so we started looking for British chocolate using British milk. We don't make our own chocolate here like any other producer. People like Cadbury's, Hotel Chocolat, they don't make their own chocolate anymore. It's all made by producers who produce it to their recipe. And so our chocolate is made to a recipe that we've created, and we now introduced a British milk into our British milk chocolate, and it's a very different flavor. You know, if you look at the ingredients list on a Belgian chocolate, which is, you know, what everybody knows as the industry standard, really, you know, there's different grades and different manufacturers, but essentially people see Belgian chocolate as the chocolate to go to. And if you look at the ingredients list, they're basically the same, you know, essentially. And but there's a very different flavor profile to British chocolate versus Belgian chocolate. And so what the samples that I've sent out, the guys have got two different bags. They're both the same bag because the ingredients are the same, and so the allergens are the same. You should have all received a bag like this. Now, in one bag there are some puddles that are quite large in size, so that's the British milk chocolate. And then you've got some smaller buttons, which are, I don't know if you guys can see now, they're a smaller button, and that one is a Belgian chocolate. So if you can put them side by side and open both bags, but don't eat it just yet. I'm going to take you through a process. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the Belgian chocolate. Now, I'm not going to talk about the flavor profile. I'm not going to get all chefy with you. What I want you to understand, we're not going to analyze each chocolate in its own right. What I want you to do is to analyze the difference between the two different chocolates in terms of how they sit on your palate, how they react to different flavor profiles. So first one I want you to introduce into your mouth is the small chocolate pieces. That's the Belgian chocolate. When we started the business, we tested probably 150 different chocolate types and varieties, and this one was the one that really got everybody excited. So if we eat this, and I'm going to join you, pop it in, chew it all up, don't swallow it straight away. What you want is you want to melt that chocolate in your mouth, chew it up, and rub your tongue, so get it all around your tongue, and just feel the different flavors that are coming out. So initially you're getting cocoa, sugar, and right at the very end, after you've swallowed that, you'll finish off with sugar and a bit of vanilla right at the very, very end. But that has a nice, round, rich cocoa flavor with sugar and vanilla. So if we take another piece now and go for the larger buttons, or puddles as we call them, it's a play on Welsh weather. So if you take the larger puddles now, and you pop a couple of those in your mouth, now you're going to get a very distinct difference, and I'll explain to you why afterwards. But have a bite and a chew, and again, enrobe it around your tongue, and really let the flavors start to melt into your palate. It's a tough job, guys, isn't it?
I think, Mark, just while you got your mouth full, a lot of our schools have had to leave because obviously we have to let them have their lunch time because they're at school. So there are some still watching, so carry on and do the tasting, and then we can always send the recording of the tasting to the schools.
Okay.
So you, as you were.
Okay, no problem. So what you're getting there now in terms of flavor is the British palate, and British chocolate has more of a caramel back note. Now there was some caramel on the Belgian chocolate, but with the British milk chocolate, it's a much more pronounced flavor. It's caramel, and there's almost a little bit of coconut flavor in there, and that's associated with the bean origin. But you're getting a significantly more caramelly experience there, and that's a very British characteristic. That is really the characteristic that jumps out with British chocolate. And the reason for that is both chocolates go through the same pieces of equipment at the refining stage. So you'll make your liquor, and then you take your dry ingredients, for example, with a Belgian chocolate, which would be your sugar and your powdered milk, and you'll mix those ingredients together and add some liquor, and you're essentially looking for a consistency that's a bit like Play-Doh, so a thick consistency. And then the temperature is brought up, so you bring your temperature up, and you're introducing temperature to introduce a caramelization, which is giving you a little bit of a caramelly back taste. But essentially what you're doing is you're refining your raw ingredients down to achieve the mouthfeel, which is that really smooth, luxurious mouthfeel that you associate with a really good quality Belgian milk chocolate. Now, on the British milk chocolate perspective, you're using the same piece of equipment from a refining point of view, but you're taking your sugar and you're adding liquid milk. So you're adding a liquid milk, so it's not a dried milk powder. You're adding liquid milk, and you're adding your cocoa liquor to that. That's then going through that same refining process where you're getting the right mouthfeel, but you're actually taking a liquid, then bringing the temperature up much warmer than you would with a Belgian chocolate, because you've got the liquid. You want to evaporate off all of the liquid element, all of the water, and wind up with a crumb at the end. So essentially, you're squeezing all the fats together. You're achieving the right mouthfeel, and you wind up with this crumb at the end. And that's what the industry recognizes it as and calls it a crumb. It's a dry product, and it's very different to that kind of Play-Doh fudgy texture that you get with the Belgian chocolate. Belgian chocolate, remember, uses the dried milk and dried milk powder, and British milk will use a liquid milk. So just a straight, really good quality British cow milk chocolate, or sorry, milk to go into the chocolate. And when the temperature comes up higher, you're getting a much more intense caramel flavor because of the additional heat that's required to evaporate off all of the moisture content. You arrive with that crumb, and then really you're adding, with British milk chocolate, you're taking that and you're adding more cocoa liquor to it. And for the mass producers, they'll introduce fat at this point, like a vegetable fat a palm oil or whatever. We don't use any of that, but the mass producers will do that, and that's where you get this lovely caramel flavor, very associated with British chocolate, and that's why it's fundamentally a different flavor profile to a Belgian chocolate. Now, with a Belgian chocolate, there's no fat added in at that level, and so you've got your fudge, you add more liquor, you loosen it off, and you're creating, and then you're introducing it into the conch. So the conch then takes it through that final stage before you go to molding and setting out. So that's the fundamental difference between a British milk chocolate and a Belgian milk chocolate. Obviously, it's British milk, first of all, and then you're taking a wet product, you're evaporating off the moisture and creating a crumb at a higher temperature to achieve that caramelization and that more intense caramel flavor. And then you're adding your cocoa liquor to loosen it off and create your finished product. So that's what we do and how we produce our British milk chocolate, and that's why British milk chocolate, we believe, is a better product, because it has that additional element of that really sought after caramel flavor. It's where we instinctively go as a British consumer. And there we are. So that's the difference between British milk chocolate and Belgian milk chocolate.
That's wonderful. I think, oh, that's wicked, actually, wickedly Welsh.
Yes.
So no, it's great to speak to you. You know, I think you could actually open up a whole chocolate university over there. You know, and give courses and you know, I mean, it's quite good because we've actually got a young pastry chef of the year competition that we're launching this week, actually, and we're working with Valrhona.
All right.
On that. And part of the prize is to find the next, you know, best pastry chefs coming through, and Gavin's actually got some students entering that. So, you know, part of the prize is to win a KitchenAid that we just saw in it was Matty's kitchen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To win a hamper of chocolate, to win a trip to the École Gourmet over in France, you know, so it's so much opportunity. And I'm not sure how much of an audience we've still got, but we are going to forward the recording on. I just want to thank everybody for contributing today. Thank you so much for the samples, Ruth and Mark. It's great that we had Cindy. Great that we had Thomas Westerland. We might know for next time that we need to put the demos on simultaneously in order to kind of stay on track with timing. But it's just great to talk to all the chefs, Joe Bartlett, Tommy Heaney. And I hope this has given the students a real glimpse of what it's like to be a student at Coleg Gwent, you know, the industry, you know, what it's like to be a chef, the fantastic produce available to you that's on your doorstep. And, you know, it's just a great thing to be part of. So, you know, by all means, you know, use the link that we sent to the college, get those applications in, get involved. If you want to know anything else about the college, you know, you get your teachers to reach out to Helen, Miss Lawless, you know, just to kind of ask any questions you might have. And best of luck, the very, very best of luck. We look forward to seeing you in the kitchen soon. Take care.